this. What a play.
Fumble the ball, and Denver has recovered. Oh, my.
Dempsey kicks. It's on the way. It is. Good. It's good.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions.
Oh, he caught it. Oh, unbelievable.
Hey, what's going on? What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 8. Fuck that intro up a little bit. I got too into the countdown music. I was just like rocking out and it just ended. I'm like, oh, fuck. Load it back up. Welcome back to the FOMfanatics podcast. We are on to episode 8, going into week 5. Ready to talk a little bit of football. What's going on, Phil?
I don't know, Jam.
Life is tough. Life is tough.
Let's get... Okay.
Oh, let's you could say let's go Phil as well.
Have people turned our podcast into a competition? Are we getting graded on this?
I'm not competing.
Ryan's rooting for you in the podcast this week.
We have to do podcast picks.
The underdog. I got this.
Podcast picks.
I'm coming up big today, everyone. Gonna bring analysis. Gonna bring some stories. Put on Phil in this podcast.
I was excited about being live. It's exciting being live. Anyways, yeah, we are going into week 5. Phil is stressed out because he has a hard decision to make.
I don't want to. It's not even a hard football. It's like, do I have a hard football decision to make? I might.
I don't think so.
That's not stressing me out as much though. But yeah, just work decision. It's irritating.
You know how it goes. That's why they pay you the big bucks, Phil. Gotta make your decision. All right, so we are going into week 5. We've got some action happen on the trade side. I figure we can talk a little trades, talk week 4 results, week 5 picks like we normally do. Phil was mentioning that we should add a little bit more pizzazz to these podcasts because lately it's just been, hey, podcast? All right, jump on, we'll do it. People still enjoy it, which is great. But I do want to put a bit more video content in, so some exciting things on the way, I think.
We're going to do like, it's not going to be 30 for 30 level things, but we want to go back in the history of, FOMFA for now because we have very little history in Ben Wyatt, but we'll figure out some content for it too.
Well, if we're going 30 for 30, I'm going to go all out. It's going to look like 30 for 30.
That's what I'm fully expecting. And you're going to be like, yeah, this sounds like a great idea. Let's do it. And then it gets pushed back for like 6 months because you want to make the ultimate production instead of just...
Production schedules, man. Timelines. But yeah, I really enjoy that idea that we can look back at some classic games, some daring matchups,
classic chat freakouts.
Some good chat freakouts.
It'll be interesting to look at those in a historic context and be like, that was so fucking stupid.
I would actually like to see what the result is next year in Ben Wyatt of the big pick for pick swap. And the domino effect of that pick for pick swap.
So, there's some good news I've been realizing because I've been stressing out about Scranton having the top pick in the draft. We always forget this, but the draft order isn't based on your losses; it's based on your potential points.
Yeah,
Jersey has been getting
been doing well
in terms of luck. Yeah, but in terms of their potential points, they're higher than Scranton's are. So I mean, if they don't make or if neither one makes the playoffs, Jersey is actually currently winning this trade. It's crazy to think about, but if they don't make the playoffs, Jersey wins the trade.
Well, it's because every team that plays Jersey has a career game. Like we were kind of making a joke about this last podcast, and then on Thursday, his matchup with who was it? Jeff with Malibu. Malibu's. His cornerback, Pierre Desir, had a 45-point night or something like that. Like he was up by 50 after one game. So it's just like everyone just shows up to play Jersey. And this week, I think Jersey did okay, too. It's good points-wise.
Do I get to play Jersey at any point?
I don't know.
I doubt it, but that would be pretty great if I could throw a 300-point game in there. I need one of those.
Yeah, I had a massive game against Jersey too.
Doesn't look like I play him, unfortunately. So
yeah, but that's a very interesting point because it is potential points based, and he's killing it on potential points. So it doesn't have to do with like victory points in terms of draft picks. in this league? Because that's new to me.
No, because victory points are still, you could throw that. If you want to tank and put all your bench players in, you could easily get like 0 victory points for the week. The draft picks are based on potential points so that you can't just bench guys and stop trying. There's no real benefit to doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But the potential points are also telling an interesting story around the league. In addition to, what the team we were just talking about. I'm going to play this all day. Thank you. In addition to Jersey getting screwed over, I've been going back and forth on my team and be like, am I competing? Am I not? I was supposed to, but this is difficult. And then I looked at potential points, and I'm beating you in potential points.
Are you?
Yeah. Now my management has been shit. Because potential points aside, in terms of the total points scored, I'm like 5th or something in the league. But potential points, I'm number 1. I just can't set my lineup for shit.
Oh, yeah. You have 1052, and I've got 1048. That's crazy.
Now, on the other side of things, teams who aren't doing quite as well as you would think, I guess the entire... We could get into this when we go into...
Yeah,
we're getting too far ahead in the podcast right now. Getting excited about football, everyone. A lot to say today.
I'll say Khalil just threw out a message. It's good to see Khalil on the podcast. You are welcome. I mean, it wasn't an easy decision. For those in Ben Wyatt,
it's been so shit.
This is interesting. This is a very interesting dynamic because people who are in both leagues know the complete opposite ends of my teams. Whereas in Ben Wyatt, I am like, I think probably the top team, or at least the top 2.
Yeah, you're.
And in FOMFA right now, I am rebuilding, so it's not just mismanagement. I scored less than 100 last week, which I thought was impossible in this league.
Yeah, Dem at least has 4 first-round picks to come out of it. There have been times in the history, maybe one of our 30 for 30 will be like, this is the low point of it. Yeah. This is what you talk about, where the team is just brutal, and it's like, oh, you don't have any first-rounders, including your own, next year or the year after that. It's like the team is just shot. Those are bad. Jam's at least got 4 first-round picks next year. So
I'd like to do, actually, to that point, like a horrible owners retrospective of people that have left. Not people that are still here. That's mean, but people that have left. that left people with horrible teams.
We can definitely do one on the entire history of what is now Jason's team.
Yeah.
Rather than like do too much on one specific owner from the past, but just going over year by year, all the new owners, what they tried to do, their spectacular failure, and then ultimately ignoring the league. That's an episode right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
How they hung on to Julio Jones and Brandon Cooks and Travis Kelce throughout this whole thing. It's like from the very beginning, they've had those 3.
That's hilarious. Really?
None of the owners did anything. So they're just like, okay, I have a good team, and then just fucked right off. So the team had key pieces, but never enough.
Well, I mean, they fucked off to the point where, like, sometimes lineups weren't set.
Oh, yeah. And in the first year of FOMFA's history, we changed the rule almost immediately after because this was ridiculous. If you didn't set a lineup, your lineups were reset every week. So they would be reset to nothing instead of just like carrying over your
people. Interesting.
So it wasn't just people in buys who were there. It would be like some people just start no one. So you'll go back to like the 2015 and there are all sorts of games where it was like, oh, you're going up against nobody this week. That's pretty good. It was chaos. It sucked. We fixed it. But the early days of the league, there were some bad performers. And,
but you're paying for the league. Like you're just killing yourself. Like I understand.
This was what I was actually a little interested in by the other day when Jason was not happy with the decision. He's like, I might leave the league. I'm like, you made 2 years worth of deposits and you have a very good team. If you want to give someone that, that's on you. But
he ended up winning that game in spectacular fashion. I think he was team of the week, if I'm not mistaken. Sorry, hold on. I just gotta say hi to my fans. Hey, Chris, how you doing, man? Hey, Denver, how's it going? Just shout out to the fans. All right. What do you think? Should we get into trade talk?
Yeah.
Kick things off? Yeah. Let's start with FOMFA because I remember there was a couple Steven made some big moves to solidify his kind of top ranking position.
Yeah, and then there's a trade between Israel and Ryan.
Oh yeah, okay. Which I do want to. I want to hear your thoughts on that because
I mean, my thoughts I think have driven Israel out of the chat.
Yeah, what happened?
I genuinely, I don't know. I'm genuinely assuming he got pissed off at reading like thoughts about this trade is stupid. Why would anyone do this?
We said things about his trades tons of times. I haven't heard Israel ever bounce from the chat. That would be surprising. So, I'm gonna try and put them on the screen, and then we can chat about them.
Yeah, it may not actually be that. It's interesting though. Like, if someone shits on my chat, it makes me on my trade. It makes me feel better because you want to rub it in their face. If they're like, "What a shitty trade you made," I really look forward to like a year or two being like, "Oh yeah, remember that little shitty trade I made? How's that feeling now?" Like, it's great incentive. So anyone who wants to shit on my trades, please do so. You will get a told you so in the future. Told you so in the future.
Well, it depends if it goes that way.
It will go now.
That can burn in two ways. All right, I'm going to throw this one off. It's going to awkwardly cut through both of our eyes. So this is just the way to do it. Bam. 100% Cotton gives up. Gives up David Johnson, Duke Johnson. Oh, he's not 100% Johnson anymore.
He's like 33% Johnson. He's like a 7 chub at this point.
Having all the Johnson talk. Robert Woods, Zach Cunningham to the Cobras, Israel's team for James Conner, Julio Jones, Logan Wilson, and a 2021 fifth-round draft pick from Turret Rocks.
I mean, I think you should be the one who has to.
I didn't think that this was like to me like this huge giant ripoff. I just didn't see the point. It makes Colorado a little bit worse and makes Cotton better. But it's not like there was some crazy ripoff happening. You got talent back. I just don't get why it was even made. I don't even get why the conversation happened. Like, that was my confusion too. Is I'm trying to see what's the upside here. Is it just maybe it's losing faith in Julio? Could be part of it. That's reasonable to think, but I mean, it's still Julio Jones.
Yeah, it's a curious one. And before I forget this thought, you're able to put that little image that says FOMFA in the top right. Yeah. Why is it that anything that gets moved on screen has to go middle of the screen? There's no way of moving it down.
The only way is to make it a big invisible screen with it at the bottom, like a transparent picture with it at the bottom.
I know
the default setting is here. I'm sure there's a way to fix it, but there's just not any easy way to do it that I can think of.
So, I mean, the main reason why this trade, I think, is really something that people are going to have a lot of thoughts on, whether they share them or not, is it's inherently a trade that says I'm smarter than you. From both sides. Well, that's the only reason people would make it, because there are certain trades where it's like, yeah, I gave up a running back, I got back a wide receiver. Like, you're filling needs. This was almost like a 1-for-1. You take my running back, I take your running back. You take my wide receiver, I'll take your wide receiver. Same with linebackers. So it's not a trade that's fulfilling needs. It's both owners thinking, I know more than you about these players. I am taking this side of this trade. So it's very
interesting.
It's a very easy one to pick apart because you don't have to be like, well, what was the need? Like, you're just literally looking at two things. You're looking at which player is better, and is the difference in their contract enough to justify that? Which at least our league is confident enough to have that second question, because if this trade went down in like 90% of leagues, it's just which player is better. Like, it's very question.
Well, one thing that I'll add, and I think Ryan is making this point right now, saying, well, I don't know, get what this is. It looks like Israel's up after week 1.
Probably projections that I put in.
Oh, okay. I think it was this. This is what I thought initially, is that Israel is reacting, that he needed a running back and James Conner had a bye, and that Julio has been hurt. Like, I figured that was the main reasoning. And then Ryan's also asking that BLB was fired, Logan Wilson injured.
What you just pointed out, Jam, is actually a fascinating strategy that I guess you run into the trade deadline, but I would have never conceived this. That essentially you offer someone a trade for basically the exact same players, but they're a little worse. They're not a lot worse, but they're a little worse. And it's like people would be like, why would you make this trade? But if you don't have any debt on your team, this is a way of avoiding that. Being like, I don't have bye weeks, so I just keep cycling through players.
Yeah. I think that might be the approach, though. It's just like
the trade deadline hits, though, which I don't think is that far away at this point.
When is the trade deadline?
Let me check, because I actually don't know.
That's a good point from Ryan, too.
The NFL trade deadline. So if anyone knows when that is, I went to the wrong rules. I don't know. It's sometime.
Well, Ryan's noting that, and I think this is a point to be made with any trade. We're assuming everyone has the same valuation, and they don't, and that's true. I mean, that's the point that I think you were making, but obviously these are our opinions on it. My initial thought when I saw the trade was just, it didn't need to happen. I don't think anything really big happened here. I don't quite understand it. And also, you're getting some love going your way, Phil. Just in case you were wondering.
Oh, thank you. I feel like I can't go into my rant about this trade now. I feel much less Lewis Black in me to just. But yeah, the point is, both owners genuinely believe that they are getting the better side of this, because there's no both teams win. In most trades, there's a possibility both teams win. That's not the case in this one. Now, who came out on top can be debated. I mean, I have my opinion. I'm happy to share it. But there's no winning for both teams here.
Yeah. No. And that's the interesting outcome of it. I think Ryan's had a very active year, which has made things very interesting. And so I'm really excited to see how it all kind of turns out for Ryan, just because he's been so active all year and has really been thwarting the top teams in his division.
You also have the draft picks of his competitors, so you are 100%
Team Ryan. Team Ryan all the way. You go get him, buddy.
But I think the reason that I don't like this trade from Israel's perspective is just you look at the one-for-one comparisons, which is very easy to do. Who would you rather have, Julio Jones or Robert Woods?
Mm-hmm. Like in a no one is injured world?
Yeah.
Well, it's obvious.
And going into the season, you can look at the players' rankings. It's like, have the few weeks we played changed things that much? And Julio Jones was, turn of 1-2 where he's going in drafts, whereas Robert Woods is usually fourth round sort of thing. So essentially, Julio wins there. Now, there's a salary difference, but we'll get into that at the end. Then you look at the running back position. And the running back position, you've got James Conner or you've got David Johnson. And David Johnson has not looked good. In the first week, people were kind of happy to see him play. And it's like, yeah, there's a guy that was just riding the bench all year. Arizona doesn't know what they're doing. He's going to finally get his chance. And he scored some touchdowns. But going from there, his games haven't been that impressive. And if you actually watch him, he does not look like he's finding the holes. He does not look like he's actually being a useful running back, to the point that some people are now advocating, let's get Duke Johnson in there instead. So good thing he was in the trade at least.
Yeah.
But they're still, it's like they haven't found a running back. You don't want the side of a trade that has the running back where it's like, is he even the guy? Now, that's true in Pittsburgh too, to an extent.
Yeah.
James Conner had some controversy with Benny Snell in week 1, just coming out of nowhere and killing it. But for the most part, I think Conner's a little safer. And one of the reasons why is simply the contract. I prefer him a bit as a player, but not much. Again, if you want to look back to where they were at the beginning of the year, those two were drafted neck and neck. They were considered pretty similar players. But David Johnson has a lot of risk and is signed through 2023 or something, which for a running back is a long time, especially one who's barely hanging on to their job.
Yeah, 2023, 13 mil.
Yeah, big contract. Now, the big contract offsets the Julio Woods difference. So it's you look at all of this in isolation, but the difference is Julio and Woods, they're gone at the end of this year no matter what, which leaves the bad contract of David Johnson to be on Israel's team for years going forward. So I think that is the main reason why I like this trade for Ryan. I think he's getting the better players, and I think they're offsetting contracts this year, but Ryan is getting the better long-term contract situation. I don't. Linebackers are important enough. I mean, Cunningham is pretty good. He's nothing elite, but he's pretty good. He'll get you some points. But, he's being paid for that. Whereas Ryan out of this is getting a rookie who has looked, not amazing, but for a rookie has looked pretty good at linebacker so far and making very little. So there's two differences there in terms of what you're looking for now versus the future. But, I guess that's what you prefer. But again, I'd probably, for a linebacker, I'd take Ryan's side. And overall, I can't see the reason why Israel makes that trade.
Well, Ryan's opinion. Yeah, I think the contract is a very good point in that, and I do think Ryan probably should try and maybe secure Benny Snell in a deal at some point as well, just because Connor to solidify that side, just like Israel has. But it's still very much James Conner's role. Like Benny Snell had a good game one, but also James Conner was hurt for part of that game and just wasn't being brought back in because Benny Snell was doing well. Like that doesn't mean that he's lost that job. That his role has returned back to top running back since. And they're doing well. Pittsburgh's doing well. Right. Other trades in FOMFA. I think I had this one, which was just Team Marines showing up. We don't have to talk much about it. Just Team Marines getting Devontae Parker back.
Well, what do you mean we don't have to talk much about it? This is a trade of some big players. And your team is involved. You can't just gloss over the
So I gave up Devontae Parker, who I got in a trade from David. And Team Marines gave me Marvin Jones and a second-round pick.
So I guess the thing here is you start off by saying Devontae Parker was signed at the beginning of the year for a lot of money.
27 mil.
27 mil? He got paid more as a free agent than Edelman made 9 mil. Lockett got what, 20?
20.
I think Thielen was somewhere around like 20.
28.
20, oh, he was 28. I thought
Thielen got up there. Like a couple of those guys got way higher than I thought they would.
Yeah.
Thielen got really up there.
And Parker's making a lot of money. And so far his performance has been, I would describe it best as adequate. I mean, I'm not saying that he's someone who is in danger of losing their job or whatever, but for him being the number one receiver on the Dolphins, what he did last year, he's not exciting you if you're an owner of him. You're not going to be hating your life. Sometimes you have draft picks where you're just infuriated because they're just brutal, like a Brandon Cooks situation where it's like, what the fuck happened to him? We're not there with Devontae Parker, but it's also like you're not happy you have him. He's sort of a no man's land of wide receiver.
Steven likes Devontae Parker. He stood by Devontae Parker a long time, and then he went into.
But here's the thing, then Steven should have signed Devontae Parker, because if Parker did what like Lockett did, where it's like there's some debate over how he's doing, and then he goes kills it. It's like, okay, he's increased his value, so now what Jam paid looks like even more of a bargain than when Jam paid it. This isn't that, though. This is a player being like, yeah, okay, you're catching some passes, but you're not really setting my team on fire here. Like, what are you doing? So David paid for that. His value has not increased since that point. So essentially, it depends on how much Jones was a negative, in my view. And I don't know, how much is Julio Jones making? 26.
Oh,
so less. Not Julio Jones. Marvin Jones. He's the one who got.
Oh, Marvin Jones is making 20.
Really?
Yeah. The wide receivers went nuts, man.
Okay. So going from Jones to Parker, that sounds reasonable. Then you know what?
I just found it interesting, and I was proud of myself as someone who's in a rebuilding situation. As I turned Tyler Lockett, who I just paid for, essentially into a first and a second round pick.
Is that what happened?
Well, I got a first round pick. Well, there was John Johnson in there too, but I got a first round pick for the Tyler Lockett deal and a second round pick for the Devontae Parker deal.
You know what? Good work. Good fucking work.
Marvin Jones is on the block. If anyone is wondering.
And you now have Marvin Jones making $20 million through next season. So I mean,
is it through next season? 2 years? Why would anyone give him 2 years?
To enjoy.
That's fine. I'm not competing next season.
You don't need your payroll next year.
I'm just annoyed by the principle of it. Why would you pay Marvin Jones in 2021 that much money?
That's true. But this is your dumpster fire year. Next year is we're not going to win, but we have some guys to be excited about.
See what these young guys do.
Yeah, exactly. And then the year after that, you can start competing. But this is where I don't even really care what my team is.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't even look at the contract situation. I was just like, all right. I mean, it's a move. I have no purpose of keeping Marvin, Devontae Parker.
Was there one other trade or?
Yeah, I got one more that I have here, but let me know if I missed any. So this is between Fort Myers and Team Marines. Again, Team Marines making the push to stay top and make some noise. Fort Myers giving up James Robinson, clearly capitalizing on the value of James Robinson right now, to Team Marines for a 2021 4th-round pick and a 2022 1st-round pick, both Marines-owned picks.
It's interesting because we're going to get into 2 Robinson trades today, essentially.
That's right.
So Robinson is a fascinating player because the way and I think he's going to get traded in a lot of leagues because the way trades happen is when there's a discrepancy in value between people's how they're viewing a player.
Yeah.
You get someone like Christian McCaffrey, there's not a lot of discrepancy there. Everyone agrees, yeah, this guy's really fucking good. But here you have someone who's an undrafted free agent and just came out of nowhere to do pretty well, to do very well given where he came out of nowhere, but got his job because there was just no one else.
No one. Opportunity.
So there's 2 very different ways of looking at James Robinson as a player. You could see it as being like, I like what I see out of this guy. I think they're going to be a big success. Or you could see it as this guy's just an opportunist and he's going to go back to doing nothing as soon as there's someone useful on the roster. Maybe Jacksonville drafts someone next year. Like, who knows what happens? Yeah. So it really depends on how much you believe in this guy's actual talent. And there's going to be a lot of discrepancy when it's an undrafted free agent. So I expect this guy to get traded in a lot of leagues. Despite owning 0 shares of him, which is frustrating, he was on my radar for a while in the offseason, and I liked what I had. Like I heard about how he was doing in camp, and he sounded like he was doing well. And then they let Fournette go, and I was like, okay. But everything I read at the time was like it's going to be Armstead. Maybe Ozigbo gets it, but it made me a little more intrigued. But I've always liked what I've seen out of him. So him getting an opportunity is good. Now, we may come up at a different valuation in the 2 leagues, and we'll get to that once we get to the Ben Wyatt trade. But in this one, I think it was probably about a reasonable value. If anything, I think that Cyril gave him up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, he has a rookie contract. Oh, shit, he's making $350,000. Oh, yeah. So this one, I really like it from Steven's standpoint.
Oh, he's got a rookie contract in this league? Oh, because Cyril drafted him.
$1,000. Because, so
Cyril drafted him.
Yeah, Cyril drafted him. I mean, good pick, Cyril. Yeah. But, like, the issue here is James, like, a first-round pick in general has a better record than a second-round pick, but it's still a pretty spotty record, especially at running back. You're going to find guys who just suck. Mm-hmm. James Robinson, I know there's the risk there, but he's looked really good. So if you could say you have a chance at someone who has looked really good and has the job and has done well in all the weeks they performed, making the absolute minimum for the longest possible time on a new contract, would you trade that for someone who's like, yeah, it's a first-round pick. We don't even know who that is yet. They might have to battle for a job in the first place. They may not when they get it. Yeah. So I know I'm on the high end of James Robinson in these sort of trades, but that's how I see this. So I like it from Steven's standpoint because he wins in 2 ways. Like, I think this trade was designed in such a way where Steven gets the guy who's going to help him now, give him the running back to compete while he's still the running back. And Cyril sees it of like, I'm not competing this year. I don't believe in James Robinson long term, so I get the better future out of it. In which case, the trade makes sense for both teams, but I don't agree on the future side. I think Steven has a better long-term play and gets the points while we're at it.
Yeah. Yeah. Cyril picked him 7.15. Second last pick.
Almost Mr. Irrelevant.
That is a hell of a pick.
I literally drafted a punter before that.
I think I drafted a kicker before that.
People are going to be like, you say you like Robinson. Why did you take him? He wasn't ever going to make my roster. Like, I needed to have a punter. I couldn't have another running back. But, yeah, good pick, Cyril.
Yeah. But that makes a very big difference, too, though. It's a $350K rookie contract that can be extended for, like, it is very controllable for a very long time. So, good on. I think it was. I think it works.
Say you have the first overall pick. If you want to extend them for the full 5 years after that, it's going to end up costing you about $20 million. That's what the contract will look like. You can extend James Robinson for 5 years, and it's like 6.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of potential here. People, I think, underestimate the value of those low rookie contracts in terms of extensions when they come up. But even setting aside the who do you believe in talent-wise, that's a huge advantage getting a player you can extend that cheaply.
Yeah, well, look at Tyler Boyd, who I extended and traded. I traded this year, but like Tyler Boyd, I was able to extend for I think 3 or 4 years at like $6 million, and he's doing amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
Like he's comparative to the guys that are being paid 27, 28 million in free agency. So that itself gets you the value. All right, I think those are the trades that I had in FOMFA. I don't know if you had any others that you wanted to get into.
I'm relying on you entirely for the structure of this podcast.
All right. All right. Let me take a quick look if there's anything else that I really missed. No, the other one was one from like much earlier. It was just Wario getting Jared Goff from me. That's not really much to really talk about there. Thank you, Chris. I do look like I'm 16. That's just because I shaved. If I don't shave, I've got grays in the beard. It gets real old real quick.
I am so goddamn unobservant. I see you like daily, and I never realize if you're shaved, if you have a beard. Like if someone asks me at any given point, I'm like, I don't know.
I look like Jen. Okay, should we just stick with FOMFA then and talk about week 4 and then make the picks and switch fully over to Ben Wyatt?
You tell me. You're the one with the people in front of you.
Let us.
No.
I think.
No.
What happened?
I just have work people trying to get me to deal with shit.
Why? It's 5:40.
Yeah,
Jeez. I have that too. I'm just ignoring it.
It's Hamilton related. You know it has to be.
No, it can't be. Come on. All right. What's wrong with gray beard? Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with gray beard, Chris. Chris has this really gray beard, though. I feel like Chris's face doesn't match his beard color. Okay, so let's talk week 4 results. I always forget how to find this. Weekly results. There we go. And I got my picks my sheet of picks already. Game 1 that I'm seeing on my end is, it'll always be my game. Cotton versus Jayville.
Sorry, I was dealing with the stupid work stuff. Which league are we in?
We're in FOMFA, so we're talking Cotton versus Jayville.
Okay.
This was actually a pretty close game. Well, actually, no, it wasn't as close. And then there was, I'm not quite sure what happened there with the adjustments. We were talking about it in the chat because it suddenly went to like the adjustments made it like a 0.2 win for Cotton.
Kick returner and put it in cornerback. And if you do before the scores are finalized, it'll give him cornerback points for the week. So that's what happened. He got 9 points as a corner instead of the 0. He got a kick returner. So I just had to put that back out afterwards.
Okay, I think he said that it was just an honest mistake.
Yeah. But like that's where the point difference came from, and why Ryan was shocked because he was like, I didn't think it was close.
Great game for actually really good effort on Jayville's part, putting up 86 points. That would beat a lot of teams. But Cotton just had a game, 88.6% efficiency rating. Really good decisions all around. I don't know if there was any super hard decisions. I don't think so. Kerryon Johnson, maybe? He went with Jerick McKinnon and Todd Gurley.
We don't put in Kerryon Johnson.
Yeah, you go with those guys.
I mean, Ryan was pretty close to the most efficient team possible here. Like,
Yeah.
says bench like Michael Gallup in an optimal lineup. You're not going to do that for any of the people on this bench, other than maybe Edelman. But I would have benched Cole Beasley for Edelman, not Gallup. So that would have helped my team more.
Yeah.
And then at tight end, apparently, don't play Tyler Higbee. Play. I don't.
Ooh.
Yeah, there's no one better.
Dalton Schultz. Oh, Dalton Schultz had a game though.
Tight end. Okay, that is, I guess, where there's a weird decision here in my mind, because you're saying who comes in? Kerryon Johnson, and I would say Edelman comes into the game.
Probably, yeah.
Instead of Dalton Schultz, but Dalton Schultz performed well. So every decision I'm making would have lost me this game against David.
That's true. Yeah, they were big enough swings because it's only about a 10-point win. And Dalton Schultz had a big game. If he goes with any of these other flex players, yeah, he loses that game. So good decision making. Ryan's team looks different to me every week.
Yeah, it is different every week.
Did he have Dak Prescott last week already?
Yeah, he adds one or two new guys each week. Last week was Dak. This week,
no, Julio is in there.
And now we're going to get, I don't know who's coming up next week.
Yeah. On Jabl's side, like I said, I thought it was a pretty strong game. He actually had an 79% efficiency rating, so he left some points on the bench. But he had Denzel Ward having a big game, but he's a cornerback. He's starting other cornerbacks, though. C.J. Anderson, though, who he started instead of Denzel Ward, has been really good. So there's a couple of things that could have swung this game in Jabl's favor. Sitting on his bench, he has some big production on his bench. But
how are you going to leave Nelson Aguilar on your bench? No,
yeah.
Of course you leave it.
I mean,
how the Raiders aren't leaving Nelson Aguilar on.
Hey, they're making use of him. He's part of the game plan.
Bradley Chubb is a good linebacker, and I don't even know honestly who Nicholas Morrow is. But it looks like he was good for the first few weeks. But that's really going to a recency bias when you put Chubb on the bench for Nicholas Morrow.
Yeah. I don't know. There's some decisions that could have gone his way. Ryan explaining himself. Bench Edelman and Matthew because of COVID uncertainty. That makes sense.
Can't argue with that.
And apparently he's had Dak all year. Has he? I don't know. I'm going to go check back. That doesn't sound right. Your team looks different to me every time I look at it. All right, so how do we do pick-wise here? Week 4. Cotton was favored by 30.
Ooh.
We both picked Cotton to cover that. So 0 points for us.
All right, well.
I'm a little surprised that I picked Cotton to cover that.
You do, but, I mean, Paul's team has shown up all year.
Yeah. But I don't know.
I think Ryan's team was caught in a big wave of excitement.
Good decision making too. So, is the next game yours? Sixers versus Warriors? Yeah. All right. So Sixers versus Warriors. This is a big game because two top tier teams. Maybe a playoff preview. Finals preview? Potential finals preview?
Yeah, if we're meeting in the finals. Otherwise,
yeah. But pretty dominating win for you, 195 versus 166.
Yeah, but this is more of a loss on Wario than it is a win on my team. For two good teams, we should both be expecting somewhere around 200, if not better.
Yeah.
So my team was just average, and Doug's team just like shit the bed.
Yeah, he had a couple. He had a nice night out of Mari Cooper, but his running backs didn't do anything. But part of that was Chubb got hurt very early.
Yeah,
and Chubb usually is destroying. Jared Goff had kind of a mediocre game. Just guys not really showing up. I mean, he's starting Golden Tate who had 5.4. I don't know how you trust anyone on the Giants right now. They're not scoring touchdowns. Like they're just not scoring touchdowns.
Yeah. Tate has been sort of a consistent guy in the first few weeks. He's been getting a lot of short catches. He hasn't been targeted particularly much, but he's been catching what he's getting. But he's not doing anything with it. He's just catching it and falling over. So
he's got like 8.29 points in week 2, 7.54 in week 3. So like he's getting points, but like It's not doing anything for you.
I mean, you look at that and you're like, okay, well, could someone else have started?
Scott Miller.
Scott Miller. I mean, I'll like, as much as I want to say Robert Tonyan in hindsight, because I did genuinely predict he was going to have a good game, I would not have predicted that game, and I would have not had the balls to start him over Scott Miller. I probably would have started Scott Miller over Golden Tate, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, he's not going to start Tonyan over Kelsey, obviously. But to flex Tonyan, but then again, like, it's not easy to flex a tight end. But Tanyan's been the top, like, he's been a favorite target of Aaron Rodgers recently, so his value is sky high right now.
Like, their defense is just so bad.
The Cowboys really seriously get so 0 for you?
Like, everyone should be streaming. Sorry, go
ahead.
Everyone could be streaming anyone who plays against Atlanta. If they have a tight end going against Atlanta, I don't care if he's your TE3. You put him in the game. They're going to go off. It cannot be understated how bad that defense is at defending tight ends.
Yeah. Well, defending everyone, but specifically
even more. Like
because their secondary is down to like third string. Like they're really fucked. I'm starting Teddy Bridgewater in the other league very confidently against Atlanta. So I think he's just going to tear them apart. How did you get 0 points out of Calvin Ridley? Did we already talk about this? He wasn't hurt. He played the whole game.
There's question of if he was playing it at like 100% or if he was just sort of out there as a decoy. Better explanation is just that, like, Green Bay's, I forget the corner's name, but he's pretty goddamn good, and he just shut him down.
Kevin King?
I think it's sorry,
no, the guy.
Not King, the other one. But I think it's sort of a combination. I think he was up against a good corner, but I also don't think he was at full ability. I think even against a really good corner, Kupp gets like not a good day, but he has maybe like, or not Kupp. Ridley gets like 3 or 4 catches. No, nothing exciting, but he'll get a few. Getting 0, I think there's still he might have been a little hurt. Now, what happened to me this week has been a consistent thing now, where my bench is just
holy shit! Look at your bench.
My bench outscored my starters. I don't know how often that has happened in this league, but I got 199 points out of my bench. Well, 196 out of the starters.
That's crazy. 199.
Yeah.
So like there's double-digit points across the board here. Olamide, Kenny Stills, Traquan Smith had a huge game. Terry McLaurin was. Why was he on your bench?
You know my roster. Who are you putting him in?
Yeah, I guess so. Well, you started 3. Yeah.
You make an argument for Jonathan Taylor, but usually people would start the running back with the potential for those like goal line, just fall into there sort of things. So yeah, it was hard for me to put McLaurin in. If he was going in, it would have been just over Ridley being uncertain about the history, but clearly I didn't do that. So,
and he was going against the Ravens too.
Yeah, the Ravens secondary hasn't been playing as well as people were expecting them to at the beginning of the year. Passing offenses against the Ravens so far have looked pretty decent. I don't know how much of that is more from a standpoint of people have to throw against the Ravens to catch back up, but teams are putting up numbers against the Ravens' passing defense.
All right. So anything else to say on this game? I think we covered it. Picks wise, this was actually a good one because we had 6s favored by 8, and you picked yourself.
I also made it by lock.
And you made it your lock, so there's 2 points for you, and I didn't. So thanks for that, Doug. Take a 0 on that one. Oh, this is not going well. I think I'm like completely out of it at this point. Need a big comeback in the coming weeks. All right, next game we got Death Valley versus Turret Rocks, which I actually thought was a pretty interesting game because of how bad Turret Rocks has been doing. And Death Valley has been doing what Death Valley does. But Turret Rock pulls it out, 163 to 143.
Look at those running backs.
Those running backs, man. This is horrific.
Mark,
I don't even know who Jermichael Hasty is.
Mark flexed a running back. So we started 3. The 3 combined for 2.82 points.
Oh my God.
AJ Dillon, 0.3. Jermichael Hasty, 0.
Yeah.
And Joshua Kelly getting 2.52. Like,
I thought you'd see more out of Joshua Kelly because Eckler got hurt this game, but still didn't really get much out of Joshua Kelly.
The strategy Mark was going with of like the 0 RB thing can work, but only if you're really hustling and getting those like garbage running backs who start doing something.
Yeah.
You can't be getting 2.82 points out of 3 and expect to compete. But he did win this week because he was against arguably the worst or second worst team in the league, depending on how Jam wants to argue that.
I think my talent is worse.
But 163 points. That is not good.
No, this is not. And it was a pretty efficient 163. It's like 85% efficiency. It's not like he's really leaving a lot on the bench here. It's just he's got so many running backs that I guess he's just hoping 2 of these guys hit in some way. But Benny Snell was on bye. But Tony Pollard was his best other option, and I don't think I would be starting Tony Pollard over these guys, but I wouldn't want to start any of these guys.
So the good news is Mark doesn't normally have to start 3 running backs. He'll be getting Michael Thomas back. He'll be getting Devontae Adams back. His wide receivers are nuts.
Mm-hmm.
But you look at the score, and you're like, how outside of the one flex, how much does this really help him? His wide receivers showed up. Even his backup one showed up.
Yeah.
So I still don't get why Mark chose to enter the season with like insane depth at wide receiver and be like, you know what, Jermichael Hasty, that sounds like a good idea to me.
I think he's hoping that the really strong wide receivers and the really strong QB make up for absolutely nothing out of your running backs. But because I can't imagine like who's going to show up for him. Joshua Kelly is the most dependable one.
Well, especially now because Eckler got hurt.
Yeah.
Josh Kelly is going to get a bonus. The good news for Mark is Lamar Jackson. You know, most people wouldn't complain about 27 out of quarterback. But when you have Lamar Jackson, you're like, oh, come on, Lamar. Where's your 40 points? So he's going to get some more points there. Still, though, it hasn't been looking like a good season for Turret Rocks. And this is extremely unusual. We are used to just cursing his name as he just steamrollers the whole league. But, things change. On the Death Valley side, he almost came up with the win largely on the back of the 36-point effort of Odell Beckham Jr. Cowboys, terrible passing defense. Good place to get some points. I don't think Chris cares if he gets any points, but he got some.
You got him.
DeAndre Swift, if I remember, had like a catch on like a goal sort of play.
Yeah, he did.
There's something. The Chris, however, going forward, he doesn't have a quarterback.
Yeah, Jordan Love, Nick Mullins, and Dwayne Haskins.
Not had a starting quarterback. Once Nick Mullins gets benched again, presumably if that happens, Dwayne Haskins is on the bench. Jordan Love is never going to see a field. He's putting zeros.
Yeah. He needs to sign someone. I don't even know who he signs.
Taysom Hill.
Yeah.
You're not going to get a lot of points out of Taysom Hill, but you'll probably get a couple of points out of Taysom Hill, which is better than anyone else in free agency.
What about Kyle Allen?
So
someone signed him?
Already signed. He should have signed that at him as soon as the news came out. But I think I want to say Jason did it, maybe as a fuck you for Chris signing Nick Mullins.
Oh yeah, right. And Nick Mullins, I have to presume, has lost that job. Well, I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be back soon, but
exactly.
What are you going to do? But yeah, I still almost pulled this off because of a big performance out of Odell.
Now, disappointing was a decision to use Mohamed Sanu.
Yeah. Oh my God, this irritated me.
One catch all season. He's barely rostered in any league. He's in there getting zero. Cut after this week, by the way, but he's in there getting zero. Jamison Crowder sitting on the bench.
He's like the best option, and the Jets don't have many options, but he's like the best option. Like, he's going to get you points.
Yeah, this was that's a frustrating move. I mean, it doesn't matter from a draft pick perspective, but respect the league. Stick in a legit receiver. What is Mohamed Sanu doing in there?
I'll accept it if like you're going pure cornerbacks because you're looking for a bit of a home run ball situation instead of over certain safeties. Like that's kind of what I'm doing. Like give yourself a shot. You might get an interception, might get a pick six, and make something competitive. But like here, it's just like that makes no sense. Anyways, pick wise, we had Turret Rocks favored by 40. You picked Turret Rocks to cover that, which they did not. And I gave it to Death Valley to, not win, but to be within the spread. So
what happened? I was staring out my window at a bird.
What happened, sorry?
Who won that pick selection?
Oh, I picked. It was a 40-point differential, and you had picked Mark to cover that, and I picked Chris to not to win, but to
cover 40 points. Okay, yeah.
So I get a point back, so that's good. Next up, we have the old BKB versus Turn Down for What? I think. Anyways.
Nope. FF Village versus Lucas Eyes.
Really? Okay. Hokage versus Lucas Eyes.
Yeah, you're going to be always out of order or whatever.
Yeah, I know. So let me find it then. Here we go.
Actually, we skipped your team entirely. Your team was supposed to be before Death Valley and Turret Rocks.
Oh, okay. So let's do mine then.
Right.
So this one was we're not going to spend a lot of time here.
So bad.
I got nothing. I got no options.
You had one player eclipse 10 points.
Hell yeah.
Your QB didn't even eclipse 10 points.
Yes. Well, that was Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan should be getting that's not a horrific QB. That's a good QB, which is not
Stop ruining my point. Hassan Reddick, 1 point. Marvin Jones, 1.63 points. Brandon Cooks coming out with a great 0.
Hey, not much left on my bench. This was not it's not like I could have really done a whole lot out of my bench either. Like Matt Judon would have been the only one that made a lot of noise.
Your potential, this might be more embarrassing than your actual score. Your potential points on the league were 128.35. Meaning, if you had started an optimal lineup, I think you still lose to every single team in the league.
Yeah, I do, of course. This is the point of this year. Like I'm not competing.
Yeah, but one of the things you accept when you're not competing is people to rip into your shitty performances mercilessly. You just got to take it as part of the rebuilding. So I am on your terrible team that can't even beat anybody, even if you knew what was going to happen ahead of time. If you had a crystal ball and you saw the future, it doesn't matter. You still lose every game.
That is the future that I'm facing.
Khalil didn't even have a good game. I know was a very beatable team this year or this week.
I know
one of the teams is supposed to be one of the top in the league, 144.5 points.
And what's crazy could have really impacted what's going on in that division.
Huge implications for the playoffs.
He happened to be playing me this week, man. What are you gonna do? Everyone who plays me is getting a W. I'm a forfeit this year. I hope I ruin it for someone. I really want at least 1 or 2 solid ruins, but I don't see it.
I don't think you're going 0-13.
I'd be very surprised if I don't go 0-13.
It's a possibility, but I don't think when we look at the projections, I think you going 0-13, I think it's like a 15% chance or something.
Yeah, I mean, well, I have some players that can have big performances, and that's the only thing that they would all have to do it all at once, like on the same day.
That happens. You'll have days like today where your team is bad. Your team isn't sub 100 points bad. So this was just a day where it's like, oh, we're all going to take a day off, not play some football. All right, we agree. But there's also going to be those days where it's like, and you have to read your guy's name from a sheet because the announcers don't know the names of these guys. P-Ride, or I'm sure
Michael P-Ride,
because they have no idea who this guy is. Perrine has scored a touchdown.
That's how I was pronouncing his name. I don't even know how to pronounce the other guy's name.
I don't know if I'm even right. I think I've just heard P. Rye more often at this point. But at this point, I guess I've also heard Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Helaire. That is so irritating. Is that how you pronounce it?
No.
It can't be how you pronounce it.
What they were told is there are Americans who had no concept of French. I'm not saying that's true of all Americans. Don't think I'm shitting on the country. I'll do that much more openly if I want to. But they just genuinely had no concept of French. And someone told them the H is silent.
Mm-hmm.
That is true. This name in French would be Helaire.
Helaire, yeah.
But someone who doesn't know French and is told
Helaire.
H is silent, yeah, they're going with Helaire, and they just decided that was right.
It just sounds embarrassing. It feels like someone would have corrected it. He's a professional sports announcer.
Jam and I have a coworker. I'm not going to name names here, but his former manager was calling him the wrong name for years. And at some point, you just don't correct someone. You just roll your eyes at them because it's just embarrassing for us both at this point. So now his name is just Edwards-Helaire, even if that is horrible.
Yes. And it's just going to go on that way. I feel like you guys should be part of it. I could support that. We can come up with a good plot. All right, so picks-wise, this is very interesting. Turned down for what was favored by 50 points. How much did he win by?
Oh, my God. I don't know. Oh no, he did win by, my God. 50.42.
Isn't that crazy how close it was? He had a horrible performance. He still won by 50 points. So that's points for both of us because we both said that would happen, and I got the lock on that. I would have lost the shoe in if my team had done anything.
I thought I would have said that you. Oh no, there's no way I would have said you would have.
No. This was the one where I got the.
Yeah, that was the automatic pick, right? I remember. Okay, we both just Jam doesn't cover that.
All right, so moving on, we skipped mine, and then we were supposed to be talking about FF.
Up next is FF Village and Lucas.
All right, so what did you think of this game? Lucas taking it 168 to 132. I thought Lucas was rebuilding. I can never quite tell, but again, he's going up against a team that's also apparently rebuilding. So I guess everything worked out. I don't know.
Luis is doing. He's definitely rebuilding. Like most of the talent on his team, established talent on his team isn't there other than Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
He can't really get anything for Aaron Rodgers because he's making a ton of money and signed for a long time. So everyone's like, no, enjoy his points. I'm not paying you for that. So he's getting a surprising amount of points because Aaron Rodgers has just been killing it so far.
Yeah, murdering.
So
don't hire his replacement. Don't draft a replacement for that guy.
Despite rebuilding, he's sort of just been like an average team because on the back largely of Aaron Rodgers. And at least CeeDee Lamb of his rookie picks has looked good so far. He's getting them some points. And
Antonio Gibson too has been.
It would be nice if we saw Mims play.
See if he was right about it.
That's why Luis is probably the best of the stoppers for playoff teams. I mean, it's going to be the least embarrassing losing to him. You lose to you lose to Chris Back. That is real fucking shame. But it's possible for one of the good teams to lose to Luis in any given week.
Yeah.
It's going to be frustrating because it'll be like, damn it, I picked the week where Luis went and scored 210 points out of nowhere. So you're going to be frustrated because that's going to hurt you in the standings. But you also won't be as ashamed as with them beating you.
Yeah, Luis has some players on his team that have talent. And put up points.
FF Village, this hasn't worked out well. At the beginning of the year, I thought that Jville and FF Village were similar teams.
Yeah, me too.
They haven't been.
No, they have not.
AJ Green has been doing nothing. Keenan Allen has been, I think, pretty good so far. So it's just the rest of the team has... Oh, yeah. Ingram has been off and on significantly. So that's been...
Yeah. The guys that he paid big money to. Keenan Allen is the one out of those that has been doing his job.
And we were talking earlier about the trade. Devontae Parker making $27 million. Keenan Allen was also a free agent this year, 24.2.
Really? He
That's-
went for 20. That's really good.
That's the guy I was thinking of. That I was like, I know there's someone else better than Parker who signed for less, but
Maybe it was just Herbert uncertainty and Tyrod Taylor uncertainty that kept his number down a bit.
I was lucky to get Keenan Allen in a lot of best ball leagues because people were like, he was something like a top 10 receiver last year.
Yeah.
And he was drafted like real late, like 5th, 6th round sort of territory.
Wow.
And it's like this guy was as good as the people you're getting at the end of round 2, mid round 3. There's no way going from an ineffective Phillip Rivers to an ineffective whoever the hell they're starting is going to hurt this man. Like he was a good pickup, but unfortunately, he's one of the few people on this team doing much of anything this year.
Yeah.
Chris Herndon has been really disappointing. I was big. I don't know if any player in the league. I think I drafted him to more best ball leagues than literally any other player. Huge bets on him. Yeah, he looked good after week 1. 7 targets. Getting that out of tight end is pretty good. You're getting 6 receptions. Also lost a fumble, which isn't ideal. But since then, 1 catch, 3 catches, 1 catch. Now, how much of this? There's an argument on Reddit for Herndon. Is this Herndon being bad? Or is he genuinely a good option? It's just that the Jets are so incompetent, they're not utilizing him.
That could fully be the reason.
It could be, because when you look at it, he's actually blocking on a surprising percentage of plays. So they're not really even using him as much of a pass-catching tight end. Now, that could be because he isn't worthy of it, but I don't think he's shown that yet.
No.
So I'm leaning toward Jets' incompetence more than anything, but we'll have to see.
I'd have to agree because, like, from when he has been targeted, he's done well with it. It's just I don't know what the hell they're doing. I will say that I didn't think that your take on AJ Green before the year started was right, because you were kind of the one saying it seems like a risky play.
Yeah.
And he got paid a lot in most places, like in Ben White and here as well, I believe, $22 million here. And man, he is not doing anything like that. This is Tyler Boyd has looked amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you're essentially an old man for a receiver coming back from an injury. Like, people were giving him a lot of credit, and I see the ceiling there, but the ceiling for Tyler Boyd was at the same place with way higher of a floor because Boyd has played well even with Green on the field.
Yeah,
a much younger player, and they were being drafted like right beside each other. So I didn't get the Green love. I mean, this is one where thankfully I've been proven right, but there have been other ones where that ain't happening. So
yeah,
but yeah,
very surprising.
Look good.
Yeah, it's been surprising. Anywho's, anything else to say on this one? Should we just go to the picks?
No, let's go to the picks.
All right. So we had Hokage favored by 8. I said that Hokage would cover, so there you go. It's 0 for me. And you went with Luis.
Yeah, I think I even said I think Luis's team is the better team.
Yeah, so well called. I think we should move these along a little bit faster because it's already 6:11 and the games will be starting at some point.
Marines cloud to ground.
Marines.
Who picked what?
Marines cloud to ground. Cloud to ground was favored by 23.
Okay, well, cloud to ground beat that. I mean, he was team of the week. Everyone showed up. Joe Mixon having a huge game.
Yeah, finally showing up. It was nice to see. He had a little hurdle into the end zone as well. He looked good.
Yeah, this was one of those games where if some players just pulled their average weight, Jason could have flirted with 300 because Jacobs only got 9.5 points. Mahomes, who you're always terrified to play against. I mean, 23 is not bad, but it's very bad. To get more than 30 points.
That's a pedestrian number for Mahomes, but a great number for like everyone else.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's I'm scared of Jason's team. I'm not gonna lie about it. I'm real lucky that in my battle against him, I won by like 1 point or something. That win is huge because this is a real good team. We'll see what the buys do to it because depth isn't quite as nice as you would like.
Yeah.
But like, you know, he had to keep Godwin on the bench this week because he was hurt.
Yeah.
I was going to say, and he did all right, but Godwin's substitute was Kendrick Bourne, who did not do all right.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, like, you've got some really good high-end talent there, but there's not much behind it. Disappointing for Steven. I mean, he came big, trying to defend his record. It's not like he just was pushed over here. Jason just destroyed it. But Team Marines almost 200 points, 198.91. Chris Carson doing well for him. Randy Bullock, the second highest score. You don't see that.
Oh, geez.
But the kicker really showing their value. And recent trade acquisition, Devontae Parker coming through with 17.7 points. James Robinson, 13.74. His trades definitely helped him. They definitely got the points he was looking for. The unfortunate thing was it's going to be hard to beat 257 points. In the history of the league, I believe that has happened once.
Beating 257 points? I think that was me.
Or beating someone who got 257, at least 257 points.
I think that was me against Mark.
Yeah, that was you against Mark when you got 270 and you got 260 last year. That's only happened once. So, I mean, Steven can't beat himself up. His team had a good showing. He just had some bad luck. 3-1's not bad. Keep going.
I think Steven's solidified himself with the moves that he's made. Like, he's clearly decided he's going all in, and solidified himself as the favorite in the division for sure. And he'll make some noise in playoffs. I think he's made some nice moves. I think that I have to believe T.Y. Hilton's eventually going to show up. Like, this T.Y. Hilton plus Rivers thing is not working out.
You know what? Like, early on, I saw Hilton maybe a tier above AJ Green in the draft. I liked him better than Green, but I had a lot of the same fears. It's like there's definitely upside here. But again, you've been around a while now. You're coming off some sort of injury, and there's a new quarterback in town. Like, there's a lot of question marks.
Yeah.
I don't
He's
know.
an older guy, too, at this point.
After this many games, 4 games into the season, combined 13 catches over 4 games.
Yeah, that's not good.
For a 30-year-old, I think it's tough to come back from that.
Mo Alley Cox is getting more action.
Exactly. Now, the counter to this is you think about it and you're like, who the hell is Indianapolis throwing the ball to? And
Mo Alley Cox.
A bit, yeah, but I really don't know the answer to that. So
I don't know who else they're throwing to. Yeah,
there's a possibility if they just decide, you know what, Phillip Rivers, our bad, you suck. Jacoby Brissett, come back in. Maybe he does better. I wouldn't count on it. Like, I'd be writing him off at this point, but there is at least some hope, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to think that I think he'll figure it out, but it could go either way. All right, so we had Cloud to Ground by 23. Man, I'm doing bad here. You had him covering. I had him not. I thought that this would be a closer game. Good showing for Steven. I'm actually rooting for Steven.
Furious Sandwich is up next.
All right, so Fury Sandwich, 137 points for Fury, 153 for Sandwich. Both rebuilding teams. So.
Neither of these teams even care. How long should we spend on a matchup where neither of them are trying to win?
No time whatsoever. Fort Myers was favored by 17. We both picked Fort Myers. We both lost. So, moving on. Sorry, guys. I mean, there's not much to say here. I think we spent some time on my rebuilding team because of the record-breaking shittiness of it.
I just wanted to shit all over
it. All right, Cobras versus Ron Mexico. This was, I thought, it was going to be a real tight game. Turned out it wasn't.
This was essentially close to the death blow for David.
Yeah.
Against me, sort of final nail in the coffin, but this had a huge impact on David's chances for that. For one of the playoff spots.
He was skirting the death blow for a while. He had like a big win against Khalil. Like he was making his way, but this was a big one. This was a big one.
Yeah, we were sort of expecting this was going to happen, but then, David made me a believer last week. I remember specifically saying he's never going to hear it, but his team at full health is one of the best in the league. He's still not at full health though. And Tyler Lockett been
a bad game.
Great all year, but he finally had a bad game.
Yeah.
Devontae Freeman. Guess what? A Giants running back who is not Saquon Barkley is not going to have value. The Giants are terrible. Their line is terrible. Saquon loses a yard on like half his carries, I feel. The only reason he has value is he's talented enough to eventually they hit him in the backfield. He misses them and goes off for like a 70-yard run. But the Giants are brutal. So starting anyone who is not Saquon Barkley at that position, at best you're hoping for a goal line smash-in touchdown. Colorado, 180 points. You're hoping to see more there.
Mm-hmm, yeah. If you're going to be this team that has kind of made all the moves to be competitive and look that way to start, this is you need more. You need to be in the 190 to 200 week over week. This is a 99.2% efficiency
rating. Yeah, that's a good lineup setting there. But yeah, Colorado is currently favored to make the playoffs. But it's going to be a rough ride from there. Most of the team, like Colorado and not Turrocks, I guess Team Marines are the two that are currently likely to make the playoffs, but they're not even remotely on the same level as the other four teams who are going to be in there. Yeah. So it's going to be a real tough uphill battle there.
I think Marines make some noise in the playoffs. But Colorado's going to have a tough time.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I'm not saying that Steven hasn't assembled a pretty good team, but I don't think you can look at it. A good team, or like a really good team, is not starting Greg Ward. I mean, let's be clear. I started Greg Ward in the other league because I need to. I'm a decent team in there. I'm contending, but the caliber of the teams that are going to the playoffs this year, none of them would be starting Greg Ward.
I would have started Chanel. Chanel's been great all year.
I would have done Greg Ward. I would have been wrong, but he got a lot of targets.
Yeah.
He didn't happen to find the end zone. That was a big difference there. But I don't really fault him for putting them in. I'm just meaning you look at this lineup and it's good. It's going to win some games, but it's not on the elite level.
Yeah. I can see that. I mean, but yeah, the one thing I want to point out about this Cobras Ron Mexico game is if you just scroll down and look at the bench of both of these teams, one for David, from Jacoby Brissett down to Vince Williams, everyone has a 0. A lot of these guys aren't playing, but it's just funny to see a bench this way. It's you're definitely going to have a high efficiency rating if it's obviously Christian. A lot of these guys should be on injured reserve, but they're just sitting there 0 points for Mozart, 0 points for Crafty, 0 points for Christoph, 0 points for Jalen Ring, 0 points for Stevenson. It's just man, he is banged up. And then if you look on the other end on Cobras, it's just a tiny bench. It's really it's 10 players, 12 players maybe.
He hit his payroll cap, so he just doesn't have the money for bench players.
It's rough. Anyways, line. We had Cobras favored by 3. Ron Mexico favored by 3. In classic David form, he let me down when I said I'm picking my boy. So it's 0 for me. You said Cobras were going to cover that.
I said Cobras would what?
Would cover. You said that Cobras would win, and Ron Mexico was favored.
I'm a little surprised I did that, but all right.
Well, it's 3 points. So pretty dominating week for you there. 6 points, including your lock of the week, and I got 3 points, including my shoe-in. So rough go for FOMFA. I'm having trouble picking FOMFA.
Well, it's a time to pick again, so let's see how you do.
All right. Should we do the picks or the projections?
I guess let's quickly go over projections. That's how we normally do it.
Nothing, not too many changes here. So here's the FOMFA projections.
Well, the big ones here that you're going to notice is, as mentioned, that was a real blow to Ron Mexico.
Oh yeah, Ron Mexico tumbled into
the teams in the league who just written off at this point.
Yeah.
He has a brutal schedule going ahead. He still has to deal with some injuries, and he's got that extra loss over his competitors that is really going to hurt him. It's a huge uphill battle for David, and Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
really hurt.
6% chance to make playoffs, 4% chance to win the division. Yeah, it's not.
Now
It's going to be rough.
Creeping up there a little bit. Not in terms of any realistic chance, but like something where it's like it could happen, and everyone just really gets excited about it and rallies behind him. Like it's not that much different than David's, frankly.
Yeah, seriously. Any other big movements here? I think you and Cloud to Ground seem to be the biggest kind of back and forth competition there. Obviously, you got to hire make the playoffs because you got the win over him so far. That's going to be fun to watch. But man, this global conference still, it's going to come down to I don't know who are you picking right now out of the winners and wild card out of global.
Jason, myself, and now who's going to be the? I have a lot of difficulty deciding between Ryan and Khalil's team. On one hand, I look at Khalil's roster, and I actually look at. I've given Ryan credit before. I think he had a great overhaul. I think his team looks genuinely good, and I'm worried about playing it. I still like Khalil's team a little bit. But Khalil's team also has done fucking nothing all season.
Yeah, it's weird.
If you look at his points scored, the reason that they're like they look like they're 100 points lower than Ryan, but that's because he's already scored more than 100 points less than Ryan has. So it's actually projecting him going forward to score more than Ryan.
Yeah.
And I get it. I like the team, but it just
his talent shows it. Like his team, it shows that they should be scoring that. They just haven't been doing anything, which is very weird.
Yeah, and at some point you ask, okay, well, maybe our projections have they're overrating these guys. Maybe DJ Moore isn't that elite receiver that people were expecting going into the year.
Maybe.
But there's a bunch of maybes here, and that would mean Cotton wins. But that's a tough call. But I don't think the other team is getting the wild card, so it's going to be an interesting battle there for sure.
Yeah,
Jason's team is goddamn terrifying.
Yeah.
So I think whoever wins the division out of us, the other one gets a wild card. So it's literally leaving the white division to be a divisional champion.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna lean a little bit on Cotton for now, but it's damn close. I don't think anything changed much on the other side. Did you have anything to mention there? I mean, Colorado and Team Marines are neck and neck for top, but I feel like Team Marines is going to surge ahead as we go further and further into the week, especially
the bye coming up.
Yeah,
that's going to be real hurtful for Israel.
Yeah, especially with the Titans really fucking Israel. The Titans doing stupid shit costs him one of his best players for what might be a forfeit this week.
Yeah, the projections here, what I find interesting is turret rocks, frankly.
Yeah.
Because my projection system has just felt embarrassed by the last 2 years, where it's basically said, yeah, Mark's not going to do anything. And then Mark goes and destroys the league.
Yeah.
First time, it's fine. Second time, he does it again. It's like, I was wrong. It's fine. It's going to happen. I know what I'm doing. I've learned my lesson. But this time, Mark's team is not doing anything. And then Mark's team destroys the projections again. Here, I feel it's a bit of embarrassment where Mark's team has looked horrendous. And it's just like, 8-5. Yeah, that sounds good.
Your projection is broken when it comes to Mark's team.
It implies 6-3 from this point out for Mark. And I haven't looked at Mark's schedule in detail. Maybe he has it super easy. The in-division or in-conference opponents, there's a lot of weakness there that he could capitalize on. But I don't see it. His wide receivers are amazing, but you can't survive with that bad of a running back situation.
Yeah, it's a bad running back situation. So he's got Sandwich coming up. He's got Fort Myers. He's got Jayville. Jayville will be a tough game for him. Lucas Shies will be a tough game for him. And Wario. Then he's got Hogan. So he's got some favorable matchups here.
Yeah, the only one that you're genuine, like there's some tougher ones, but the only one you're actually scared of in there is Wario.
Yeah. But he's got Cobras, but Cobras in week 12. Marines in week 11. So yeah, He does have a bit of a favorable schedule. So.
I think what we're going to see here is going into the final 3 weeks, Mark's team will be at a disadvantage and looking on the outside in. But I think he's going to make things interesting during the playoff weeks where he has to play Colorado and Team Marines. And it's one of those things where it's like, you win the first one of these games. I guess Colorado is in week 12, you said, and Team Marines is 13?
I think Marines is first.
So Marines is 11. So you play Marines, and it's like, okay, he's still not in the lead, but he plays Colorado next week, and then he plays Jam after that.
Oh, yeah.
And you start thinking, maybe this could happen. So we'll see if we have a late Mark run, but I don't think it frankly matters. I think whoever of these teams is getting into the playoffs is getting eliminated immediately.
That's going to be my spoiler day. That's the win I'm going to get. I'll come in and make a decisive win that puts him out of it. Yeah, that's not happening. Anyways, so should we move on to week 5 picks for FOMFo?
Yeah. Let's make our picks.
Let's do it. Can you throw up or at least let me know the lines? Chris sent them.
Yeah. All right. So first one we have is Turret Rocks, favored by 27 against Sandwich.
Sandwich. All right. I'm going blind on some of these because I'm not. It's not helping me to actually know players and whatnot. But you, who picks first?
I don't care.
You go ahead.
27. Again, I guess if I'm picking first, I don't give reasons. I'll give them more detail when I'm going second. So it's up to you to give your logic here. I'm going Turret Rocks.
You're going Turret Rocks?
Turret Rocks.
All right. I'm going to go Sandwich. No real logic. I just think that Sandwich is better than they seem to be. They're not good, but they're better than they are. I don't think they'll win. I just think they'll make it a little close. All right, then.
All right. Wario is up next, favored by 50 points over you.
Over me. All right. So I'm going to take Wario to cover that.
I'll also take quickly because that's really obvious. Like this is like 80 or something earlier today. I don't know if that's been updated, but I was like, yeah, that's not far off.
It's been updated. I got it down to like 48. But I don't believe it. it.
Either way, I am. I don't like that he's starting Golden Tate again. Stop it. But, it's. I'm still going Wario there.
If you pick first, does that mean I get the first shoe-in pick out here?
Fine.
All right, I'm just gonna go ahead and put that in right now.
You don't know if it's gonna be a better one, but if you want to lock in your shoe-in, if you want to shoe in your shoe-in,
you know what? I'm not gonna shoe-in my shoe-in.
All right.
You're making some good points. All right,
so
next.
Colorado is up next here with a 7-point favorite over FF Village.
Oh, 7 points.
7 points. Very small for a game. 3-1 team against an 0-4 team.
You're picking first, all right?
Maybe I'll explain my logic when I'm less certain about which one I'm picking. This is tough because Derrick Henry, I don't know what's going to happen there.
That's a big question mark.
He doesn't have any depth on his bench. Aaron Jones is on a bye week. Like, he's got Russell Gage starting, but still, the remainder of the starters, well, Keenan Allen has been good. And you know what? Henry aside, 7 points is the 3-1 team versus an 0-4 team. I'm still going Colorado to go.
You in Colorado?
Yeah.
I'm a bit on the fence on this one, so I'm gonna go Village just to change it up. But I am this is not a confident one.
No, that's a tough one.
Yeah, it really comes down to what happens with Henry.
Team Marines favored by 15 points over Jayville.
Interesting. Jayville, this is an interesting one. Let me take a look at what we're dealing with here. Okay, clearly someone hasn't set their lineup.
Jayville needs a tight end and a replacement kicker.
All right, but I'm gonna look at the talent that is here. Ronald Jones is. I'm going with Marines. I like what Marines has done, and I'm kind of low key rooting for Marines. I'm gonna go with Marines.
All right. Grayville also needs another defensive end. What was the line on this?
15.
15 in favor of Marines.
That's right.
Yeah, with the recent, Allen Robinson against Tampa Bay, Adam Thielen against Seattle, DK Metcalf versus, I look through that receiver list and I'm liking those matchups more and more. That's a bunch of terrible defenses those lines they're playing. Justin Herbert going up against the Saints, who have not looked good so far, and he'll have to throw to catch up the whole time. I will go with Jayville. I think there's going to be a big upset here.
All right. Interesting. That'll make things very interesting, actually, for the other side of the wild card. If Jayville starts to rocket off some wins.
I am favored by 35 against Ron Mexico.
35 against RMA.
35 in a matchup between these two Titans, but
right.
David's team is looking more like David from the whole David and Goliath story than any sort of a Titan at this point. I think Lockett rebounds heavily against Minnesota again. I think Tyler Boyd has a decent game. Devontae Freeman against Dallas. That's promising, if anything.
Mike Davis will have a nice game, too.
I think he's got some good matchups. And with the new system in place, if, Josh Allen doesn't play, it's like Tom Brady comes in. I'm not happy about that, but that will help. 35. You know what? Even with, Jeffrey in there and Freeman, I don't think I'm going to win by 35. Hey, I think I win. I hopefully beat him, but I'm going to take David in this one.
All right. I'm going to very easily take you. I don't even know. I'm sad why.
That far off base, I didn't even look at my own team. I just looked at David's and got scared of it.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Dalvin Cook, Miles Sanders, Cooper Kupp, Calvin Ridley, Mark Andrews. The team that's benched could possibly outscore its own starters. I just hope they can make some.
Well, I guess I could start my bench. I just don't apparently.
I would hopefully you'll set your lineup properly, and I think you'll beat them pretty.
No way. There's no way I set my lineup properly.
All right, who's next?
Next on the list we have Cloud to Ground against Cotton. David for sure. This is a huge one.
Big game.
Even. Pick 'em.
It's just a pick 'em.
It's a pick 'em.
Wow. This is just who wins. Is there any buys and things that I'm not aware of here? I thought that there would be a line for this for sure.
Well,
that makes it interesting.
Injured this week, so that kind of hurts Jason a little bit. He's not full strength against Ryan.
He's not full strength. He's got
Henry Ruggs in there, or instead of
Henry Ruggs, right?
And Henry Ruggs, it's maybe he got some potential, but he hasn't done anything of note yet.
George Kittle looked amazing in that last game. Who are the 49ers playing? Dolphins. Wow, this is a good game. Although he's right now Jamal, I assume he switches Jamal Adams out. He's projecting a 0. I'll take Jason.
Yeah, I'm without question rooting for Ryan here, but I'm also taking Jason. I think Mahomes lights up the Raiders. So. Yeah. Bittersweet, I guess, for Jason.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Yeah. What's next?
Oh, Dak is against the Giants. Holy. Oh. James Conner's getting nothing against Philly, though.
Yeah.
But Juju might. Whatever. First instinct was Jason. We'll go with that. Is turned down for Watt, favored by 19 against Lucas Shies.
All right. What do you think?
I think it's interesting that I was favored by 30-something against David, and this is only a 19.
Yeah, this is weird.
My instinct is just, Khalil's going to win, but his team has not been good.
Lease has been sneaky. Lease has been real sneaky.
No, I can't look at this lineup and think there's no way. I'm taking Khalil.
By 17 points.
19 points.
19 points. I think that's what's going to happen. I want to change it up to at the off chance of getting some comeback points here.
This is how you're down so many points in the first place. You know?
These off chance ones.
Yeah, you know what? I agree with you, but I'm going to do the opposite anyway.
Hey, I got to take a shot, and that's exactly what I'm doing. Let's go.
You're taking Luis in that one?
Yes, sir.
All right, bold move. We have the battle of the someone's got to win up next. Fort Myers against 0-4 Death Valley Red Tails. Myers is favored by 19 points. I'm choosing the asteroid here. No one wins. The asteroid comes in, destroys the game.
That could very well be the most reasonable response.
All right, I guess you're picking this one first, I think.
I'm picking this one.
Picking this one.
I'll take Fort Myers. I'm not really gonna think about it much.
Yeah, I probably don't either. But I'll give it a look. You know what? Fort Myers traded one of his best running backs recently. That hurts him.
Yeah.
I was gonna say the Browns were looking better, but they're also playing Indianapolis. If the Browns weren't playing a good defense, I might go for Death Valley here. Wait, he doesn't have a quarterback. I forgot. He's got Joe Flacco in, who I think Darnold is healthy. So I agree with Fort Myers.
I mean, Fort Myers could lose Devin Singletary possibly, but who knows? I don't think that's going to change things too much. All right, both go Fort Myers. All right, so I got shoe-in of the week. I'm gonna pick. I'm gonna stick with my original. Wario giving me a good old-fashioned thrashing.
All right.
How about you, man?
I'm taking Fort Myers.
Fort Myers. Interesting. Yeah. Interesting. Because there's some. Probably.
I'm putting it all on the line for a winless team.
Okay. All right. So that does it with FOMFA. Let's do let's hit the brand change, Phil. And we are Ben White.
That wasn't as exciting as you made it.
I know. I need like a drum roll or some kind of a video clip. I need something to kick it up. All right. So there's a couple of trades that we're going to talk about in Ben Wyatt. Let me pull them up. Trades. Because I felt like this week we start to see some action Jackson come through. I'm a little lazy to put them all on the screen, so I'm just going to read them out. Because I got to screen grab all these things and put them on the screen. This past week, I guess it started off with I think Malibu made a practice squad claim for Traquan Smith that I guess turned into a trade because in classic Jason fashion, he wanted more than the fourth rounder. So Malibu gives up a second round pick for Traquan Smith off of Oakland's practice squad. Thoughts?
I'd
like to believe in Traquan Smith.
Here's the thing, though. I'd like to believe in Traquan Smith. He's on my roster. But just to understand how bad this trade is, as soon as this happened, I was like, if anyone is willing to give me a second round for Traquan Smith in the other league, I will take it. Just to offer, I will just take it.
Yeah.
Traquan Smith contract is better in our league. It's extendable. It's like nothing at the moment. It is all, for all intents and purposes, that is a better Traquan Smith than this one.
Yes.
And I just opened with like any second rounder, I'll just take it.
No one's going to do that.
I sort of laughed. Like, no one's going to do that.
No, he hasn't done anything. He did something that game, but
the last 2 games. But still, I mean, there's a lot of question marks because it's like he's had chances before and squandered them all. So is it really reasonable as soon as Michael Thomas comes back? Do you think he's going to take over Emmanuel Sanders, who got a lot of money to be in that role? Or is it he just goes back to doing nothing? Mm-hmm. And I hope he takes over the role. I hope I'm wrong. But giving up a second-round pick, I will take the second-round pick every day of the week.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought this was a bit much. But Malibu saw something in him. Good on you, Jeff. But
and I mean,
I thought this would just be a practice squad claim, 4th-round pick. Like,
and Malibu has just been destroying basically everyone. So I mean, maybe they know something we don't here.
That's true. Jeff is doing very well. So he's evaluating talent better than we are. All right. Should we move on to the next trade? So this is between myself and Jersey. The second discussion of James Robinson we're going to be having in this podcast. So I gave up my 2021 first-round pick, my 2021 third-round pick, Dontrell Inman and Jalen Hurts. That's Jalen Hurts was mostly a salary requirement. Jersey gave up James Robinson.
So what's interesting here is you gave up more for a less valuable Robinson. I'm not saying that was the wrong move, but you definitely paid more in this trade than we saw in the other league for James Robinson.
Yeah, because he's $4.2 million here, and he's not on a rookie contract.
$350,000 till 2022, and then extendable.
Yeah,
he's making $4.2 million for this year, and at least one of the few extendable players in the league. But it's not going to be cheap necessarily to extend.
Yeah.
And you're probably going to have the same thoughts at the end of the year of like, how many years do I really give this guy? Is it possible they just draft like that someone else comes out? So there's a lot more here. I think my initial reaction was that I liked it more from your standpoint, and I still do from like a pure talent standpoint, but I never fully considered the implications of making $4.2 million. He's extendable, but it's like you give him 1 year and he's all of a sudden making like 6.3. You give him 2 more years, which isn't a lot. That's $9 million you're committing to a player who may have a lot of question marks around him. Now, what you have to hope for here, and the way you win this trade in my mind, is ultimately if at the end of the year those question marks are gone. And if it's just like he is the running back for Jacksonville going forward, even if you have to pay him a decent amount, it's still probably worthwhile. And giving up those picks for a guy with that level of consistency is going to be worthwhile. And I have hoped that will be the case. But at the moment, I'm a little more on the fence about this trade because, you know, that contract situation makes it a little trickier than in FOMFA, where it's like, I could just keep him for 3 years and we'll see what happens. It costs me nothing.
Yeah. And those are definitely all things that were kind of going through my mind. Like my motivation for it was I am still pretty light on depth at running back, and also like the recent issues with Julio, I figured I could use a better flex option moving forward. And who knows what the fuck's going to happen with the Titans. That they keep fucking up their situation. From the way that I see it is I feel like I have a real opportunity this year, and I'm trying to solidify it. So the biggest gain from this for me, at least it's short-term thinking, but I do want to be kind of like, I know what his role is this year. And I know that he's going to be strong this year. And seeing what the running backs are going for, I mean, it'll have to come down to what happens in the draft and what Jacksonville seems to be choosing to do. But I'm hoping he's the Gardner Minshew of this year. He just wins that job and and is the guy. I was open to it.
It's an excellent point about like short term here and why you would do that, because it's basically impossible. It's like you want to shore up your running game, you can't, because good running back for the most part is either making a lot of money, or it's like me and Mark were gambling on like low cost running back. So it's like, if you want one of them, I'm not trading him. He's my only running back.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's not a lot of opportunity to get a running back unless you're willing to give up something of tremendous value to you, because they're all making like 20 plus million. So I get it from that perspective. And I think that's an interesting one to consider. I think in order to do what you wanted to do, you had to overpay a bit. Now the question is, did you need to do that in the first place? What, like, running back for you, I didn't see as a huge problem. I guess you saw the lack of depth behind Derrick Henry, especially with what's going on in Tennessee. and Aaron Jones, and you're like, Alexander Madison is a number 2 running back. I don't want to have to rely on him at any point.
Well, I also saw it as just flex because if like I have okay depth at, I like my depth at wide receiver, but if Julio's injury is a lingering one, if it's something that like he never quite returns to form or it takes a couple weeks to do so, there's some big games coming for me in like week 7 and 8, and I wanted to make sure that I've got enough kind of talent and backup to be able to put my best effort forward in those games. And it's a weird situation to trade in this league right now because everyone is basically expensive. So you have to make the salaries work, and you have to basically be in a situation where it's either a team is very much looking like and there's no real team right now that's looking from the point of view of I'm just going to rebuild. Like everyone is still kind of has that. Well, there's an outside shot. I still got like it's a much different league to make these moves in. There's no one who is clearly going in one direction.
Rebuilding is extremely tricky. Even if there's a team who wants to rebuild, you have a situation where it's like, okay, well, what player are they going to sell? Because all their players that are going to be worthwhile are probably going to be high cost. The other team, what are you really willing to give up? Because you can't afford that without getting rid of your own useful players.
Yeah.
So rebuilding isn't really even possible for the most part with the way this league is structured to start out. Eventually, sure, but like right now, it's really shocking if you could like that off.
Well, maybe not rebuilding, but like maybe trying to kind of get cheaper talent because everyone is expensive. So it's like if you can accumulate some picks and maybe you don't have this year, like this year is not going to work out for you, and you have a couple contracts come off the books next year, and you can fill that with cheaper talent. You're paying a little bit less and maybe fill that out. But you're right. It's an interesting situation to be in this league right now. So for me, I'm just thinking from the point of view of I can go for it right now. So let me try and go for it.
All right. We got a live trade that just happened a minute ago. So you want to skip up to the top?
Let's do it. All right. So this is interesting.
It's a big one. Ooh.
This just happened?
Just happened. Literally, this is hot off the presses.
Oh boy.
Touch your ear and you're like, Jam, I've got some breaking news.
Breaking news. All right, I see the trade. Let me read it off. Got Chicago giving up Zeke and Marcus Goldwyn, Ezekiel Elliott to South Park Cows for Raheem Mostert, Joey Bosa, Jamal Adams, a first round and the first round pick from South Park Cows. That's a big trade. Oh shit. South Park making it work. What do you think?
Yeah, this is tough. Like I'm looking into it. I mean, clearly South Park got the best player in this deal. There's not even question. But once again, you come back to, well, what are they paid? And
how did the money work here?
Elliott is making $30 million, which is actually a bit of a bargain for him relative to what other running backs are making. I'd expect him to be making like 5 more. Mostert's going back making 16.2. He's also sort of, when he's playing anyway, he's been eclipsing his value there a little bit. Joey Bosa making 9.8 going back. I think that's about fair for what he's been doing out of a defensive end. Then you got like Jamal Adams coming back at 9.1 million. He's been real good when playing. I don't have an issue with that either. Like, I think that
this might be a good trade.
Values given up are not far off each other. Other than Marcus Golden is basically worthless. But you get a round 1 pick going the other way. But I think that's sort of I want to call it a premium for getting an elite player. Like, it's really hard to ever give up someone like that unless it's like you really need to make it worth my while. Mm-hmm. So like the talent swap on the surface and what they might get relative to their replacement level is probably in favor of Chicago in this trade, I think. Long term, it's really difficult to hang on to those really elite guys.
Yeah.
South Park may be able, if they get the highest level of production at one position, they may be able to make up the other positions with some shrewd training and free agency signings long term. So, I think it's a good trade on both sides. I think Chicago is probably going to surprisingly improve their team a bit.
Yeah.
And I think they're doing this for the pick, but I think their team might actually get a little better. I think South Park gets that long-term running back, but I'm a little on the fence with what it's going to do for their team this year. Long-term, they've obviously lost the pick, but at least they have long-term Zeke Elliott. So if I was going to pick a side, I think I'd pick the Chicago side, but only marginally. I think this is a good trade.
This is a good trade, yeah. I got, and that's what I'm saying though. It's in this league. I think. I mean, we just did see the second round pick for for Traquan Smith, but like, I think you're going to end up getting decent trades because the contracts really have to work out, and unless you're like someone really fell off an edge and you're trading a bad contract out, like I feel like you're going to see trades like this, and this is very interesting. Good trade. I don't know. I think it obviously does big things for South Park, but like those are two big point getters on the defensive end that he loses and a pick.
Those are going to hurt.
Yeah, those are going to hurt. And it depends, I guess. When is Raheem Mostert expected back, too? That's the question.
Probably next week. I doubt he plays this week, but he's probably back next week.
When he's back next week, then like Chicago is going to look pretty good out of this as well.
I think where Chris might be coming from here is that defensive end where he's lost Bosa. He's got solid production there. I mean, Frank Clark is good, and that's why he's making $7 million. But his backup option was DeForest Buckner, who was making $4.35 million on the bench. So maybe the thought was this isn't really worthwhile for this guy to sit on my bench when I can have Elliott.
Yeah, could be. He takes back Marcus Golden, who's literally done nothing. But I mean, that's probably more of a salary-based move than anything. Yeah. Thank you for outbidding me on Marcus Golden. He's one of the first people that I put up because I thought I could get him cheap, and at that point I realized that the auction limit. So there was this weird one person who made no sense on that list for the first 2 days of the auction. Like, why is Marcus Golden here along with like Kamara and Christian McCaffrey?
I like that strategy. I was thinking about trying that strategy because the idea is everyone does exactly that. It's like, no, I'm going to get a good linebacker. I don't want this guy. But it's like, that guy still has value. So you'd think you could sneak him in real cheap.
That's what I thought, yeah. I did that on FOMFA on FOMFA you didn't have so many people going in on the auction at the same time. But last year on FOMFA, I got a lot of nice, valuable defensive players because I just put them up right away.
All right, the final trade we're going to get into here is San Antonio and Las Vegas. A lot of guys moving in this trade.
Yeah, big trade here. Let me pull it up again. Sorry. So we got San Antonio giving up Scott Miller, Mario Addison, Josh Sweat, and Marlon Humphrey to the Las Vegas Gamblers for Darren Fells, Kenny Clark, Javon Kinlaw, Preston Smith, Byron Murphy, and a third-round pick and a fourth-round pick. Did I miss anyone? I think I got everybody.
Got everyone. This is one of those trades where I'm looking at it and I'm like, I just don't care.
Yeah, like I was gonna ask you to talk about this one because I just don't. I
feel it's a lot of trading for the sake of trading, and when I'm looking at it, so Las Vegas gave up again Darren Fells, who I don't really like that much. Kenny Clark, who has been just injured the entire time, and I'm not sure how much he's playing, even if he's not.
Mm-hmm.
Kinlaw, like you look at the players and the ones going to San Antonio are not really of any use.
Yeah, Kinlaw was dropped, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas you're getting Scott Miller on the other side. Mario Addison is old, but I guess, there's at least some hope he does something.
He's in a good situation.
Josh Sweat has looked surprisingly good for the Eagles.
Yeah. The Eagles' defense has been nice.
Yeah. And people weren't expecting this out of him so far, but he's had 3 sacks already, looking like a good option, only making $350K.
Mm-hmm.
Marlon Humphrey, I mean, he's making a decent chunk of change, but he's been one of the best corners in the league.
Yeah.
You expect him to keep it up.
15.8 points, 15 points, 8.5, and then 16 points. Like he's having himself a year.
Chris, I think Chris did essentially like a less intense version of what he did in the other league, where it's like, I get giving these guys up because you've given up on the season after your injuries, and fine.
Mm-hmm.
But you only got a third and a fourth.
Yeah.
And I feel just between like Miller, Humphrey, and Sweat alone, like let's ignore Addison, but all of them are worth probably like a 3rd round pick on their own in my mind.
Yeah. Combined, maybe a second. Like if you get a couple of them.
Yeah, I would expect like I think good value for Chris is if he could have got like a 2 and 3 instead of a 3 and 4. So I think this is good for Las Vegas. San Antonio doesn't hurt their team; they're still getting out of it. But if they just chatted to a little more people, said, "Hey, anyone interested in Scott Miller?" Rather than
yeah. If they put it out there,
people are like, "Anyone want to trade?" It's like there's like what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
But if hey, I'm thinking of trading Scott Miller. What can you offer me? I think he gets a lot more offers.
Put him on the block. Yeah, I would have gotten in on that. If Scott Miller was available.
So I think he understands, but it's not going to hurt his team long term. So
did everyone that Denver trade get dropped? I guess they're not really valuable.
Pretty much. Like I remember there's a huge amount of San Antonio cuts this week because I have to manually type in all of them and adjust the salary.
Yeah.
And like
this league's a lot of work for you as a commissioner. A lot of manual stuff. Whoa. I think Phil dropped off. What happened to Phil? Let me re-invite him. But anyways, it's just me. So until Phil comes back, I think we're going to get... is he back? What happened?
I clicked X on the wrong tab.
And it's gone.
It's gone.
All right. Hey, so he's happy. You did something that you didn't hate. I thought it was fine trade for you, Denver. Justin's asking about the Watkins trade. Should we talk about the Watkins trade?
There's a Watkins trade?
Chicago giving up Sammy Watkins to Jersey for a 4th rounder.
How much is Watkins making? About $4 million. Yeah.
That's a nice trade.
I
like that trade. A 4th isn't really worth all that much.
Yeah, exactly.
Good on you, Justin. That was a good trade. Because the thing is that you don't really like Patrick Mahomes becoming that guy that like really spreads it around and showing off his talent. He's getting everyone involved. Sammy Watkins had a great start to the year, but it's kind of falling off.
Yeah, you don't want to be starting Sammy Watkins, but he's very useful bench depth. He's a great player to have if it's like, oh, I'm in trouble. I guess I'll throw this guy in, and maybe he goes off. You never know.
Yeah.
You don't get that like ceiling potential out of a lot of bench plays that you can put in.
Yeah.
But again, he's not someone you want to be starting. So a 4th round pick is like, that sounds like a reasonable value. I see like late 3rd, early 4th. You can't be that precise with these picks. I think this sounds like a late 4th based on being Scranton's pick. So I think he got some good value. I don't even like Sammy Watkins that much, but I think I take the Sammy Watkins side of this trade, but I think it makes sense for both teams.
Yeah. I would take Sammy Watkins' situation, but that it's like if I was in that situation to shore up a little bit of depth. So all good. All right. I think that's all the trades that we're going to get into, right? Interesting question. Better than Traquan? That's interesting. Better upside for Traquan.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to, right? Are you chasing the floor or are you chasing the ceiling? Because Watkins will continue to have a role going forward, for sure. But you also know there's going to be games where he just does nothing. Yeah. Traquan Smith is either going forward and getting zeros for you, or he's going forward and he's actually like a legit startable possible player there. Mm-hmm. So I think it entirely depends on which one you're looking for, what you're trying to get. But yeah, I think that's an interesting question.
Yeah, interesting. I'd probably take Watkins just because I don't think either would be someone I'd be depending on as a start.
It depends on what you need. If you're looking for, if you're like flex starter or something, is like, oh god damn it, I gotta play this guy.
Yeah,
you want that ceiling.
I guess so. Yeah. Interesting. All right, I think we're good with trades. Should we go on to the picks? I'm gonna have to run through some of these pretty quickly. I got to get off at 7:30.
All right.
We've been rolling.
We'll start with Ben Wyatt next time because they always seem to get shafted in terms.
I know. Yeah, next time we'll do Ben Wyatt faster. Sorry, Ben Wyatt. Let us talk about week 4. Reports. I always forget what this is. Weekly results. There we go. What's the first game you got on your list?
I'm logged in as owner, so
okay.
I'm logged in as commissioner, and that'll solve
I think it's probably Jersey versus Malibu?
Probably because I just had mine at the top. So weekly results. Yeah, Jersey Malibu.
All right.
Getting real sick of Malibu.
Yeah, Malibu's looking good, and I'm getting real sick of them too. I need Malibu to start showing some weaknesses. They have not really.
And you know what's going to happen? They have Kareem Hunt.
I know, and now he's the guy. Better. Now he's the guy. Jeez, fucking
Will
Jeff.
Fuller hasn't hurt himself yet.
Yeah, but it's happening.
Well, we'll
it's
see.
Gonna happen. If it's because of Jeff that Will Fuller makes it through a season, I swear to God.
You look at this offense and you're like, how did someone put this together in free agency? Like it looks really good.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray at quarterback. You've got Mark Andrews at tight end. Your wide receivers are solid. Running
this is
good fucking team. I think
good team
going into the year was one of the better projected teams, but they're even showing the projections up. Like they're looking real good out there. And we've already spent a lot of time talking about Jersey at the beginning of the podcast before we got into Fall Club. But sucks for Jersey. They've got a good team. They've got a lot of potential points so far. They're scoring. They're just hitting a brick wall every week.
Yeah. I think the hope is for Justin is that he just the luck just turns around and people don't keep having career games against him. Because 183 points it's not bad. Like it would have beaten a lot of teams this week. 82.9% efficiency rating. Malibu had a 91% efficiency rating. But Malibu just destroyed. Like, what are you gonna do? Like really nice pickups all around. Kareem Hunt will get better. 265 points to Jersey's 183. So big game. And
Jersey is going to keep. This is, I think, why they traded for. It was Jersey who traded for Watkins, I believe.
Yeah.
And you're doing it because you don't have your own picks. There's no even incentive to just be like, you know what, I'm not making the playoffs. Like you keep going for it. And it's going to require a lot of good luck going forward to make up for the bad luck they've started with.
Yeah.
Overcoming 0-4 is going to be a challenge. One of the tougher things that they're going to have to overcome here is they're going to have to hope that Arizona figures out their shit at running back. Kenyon Drake has been looking worse and worse.
Yeah.
And it's meant that Chase Edmonds has been getting more carries. Now, that's conveniently for Jersey, they've got Chase Edmonds. But as long as Arizona's like, what are we going to do? You don't know. Who do you start? Like, it's a terrible situation. So Arizona's got to figure out their shit real quick. Otherwise, that's going to be a nightmare going forward for them.
Yeah. I mean, well, like I hope it happens for Jersey though. I hope they figure it out, and I hope he starts to get some wins. Chase Edmonds had a nice game on his bench, but I don't think there's anything else to really bring up here. Picks wise. Malibu favored by 7. You said that Jersey, this would be the week that Jersey makes it happen.
Oh, God damn it. I remember doing that. I knew it was a bad idea and I did it anyway.
And I took Malibu. Okay. All right, let's keep it going. I hear my son downstairs screaming, and I think I'm gonna have to run soon. All right, so what's next? Philly versus Oakland?
Philly versus Oakland, you destroyed them, 190 to 148. It was one of the best teams in the league versus one of the worst teams in the league. So, I guess the only thing we can say is I know you're agonizing your quarterback decision. Then Teddy Bridgewater goes and gets you 30, beats all the other players.
Hey, Carson Wentz did a fine job on the bench. I wouldn't have been too mad.
You really lucked out that Bridgewater did all right. I guess he still would have won even if he didn't, but your receivers, Julio, Lockett, and Woods, all combined for less than 20 points.
This is a down week.
Yeah, this was not a good week for your team. But
glad that people. Carlton Davis really helped me out. Levante David really helped me out. And Austin Hooper finally looking like what I paid for. I don't know if that is the case going forward. I really hope so, but all good. Picks wise, had me favored by 17. We both took me. And you made it the lock. So even in my win, I can't enjoy it totally. All right, next up we got Chicago versus Houston. Chicago favored by 11.
Ooh, Chicago is favored by 11.
Yeah,
Hey,
Chicago.
Ooh.
Chicago took a beating. This is a bad game for Chicago.
Points for 153. This was a bad fucking week.
Yeah, this is a bad week.
I mean, I think the big people to blame here are one, Daniel Jones, 5.6 points.
Yeah.
But other than that, what are you going to do? I mean, Elliott didn't have an amazing game, but he did well. David Montgomery, Mark Ingram got roughly what we would expect. Galladay, Landry, even Waller. Like, I guess you sort of normally expect at least one of your defensive people to do something.
Yeah, his defense took a friggin' beating, man.
If he had like a typical defensive performance, I think this looks more like a 160, 170. And then if the quarterback was competent, you're starting to flirt with good points at that point. But that didn't happen. So Houston just destroyed them here. Yeah.
We both in turn, like Houston looked pretty good too. Like I was a little surprised. Like once it's all hindsight, right? But I was surprised that Chicago was favored. I thought that Houston actually has been doing pretty well.
Yeah, Houston has looked good, but I guess we'll say who picked what because I don't understand picking Chicago in that, but we did.
And you picked Chicago.
Of course I did.
So there's your 0, and I picked Houston. Okay. So far in Benoit doing okay. Who's next?
Hollywood, San Antonio.
Hollywood, San Antonio. Okay, so San Antonio is obviously that's only putting up 164 is pretty good for the situation that they're in.
That's true.
That is pretty solid. But losing to Hollywood at 178. Hollywood was one of the top teams. Still one of the easies. You're the team you're rooting for.
You want to see more points than that. You want to see more than 180.
But a lot of red arrows here, right? A lot of red down arrows.
Brandon Cooks getting 0 is painful. Just painful. But that might keep going. I don't think you could really start him.
I'm forced to start him in the other league, but but you're right though. Like this is not a good situation.
But you look at the bench and like I don't think going into the week maybe it was as clear a decision, but I think you start Ayuk over him going forward.
Ayuk's been good.
He had two really good games in a row at this point, so I think that hopefully he'll get into the lineup over Brandon Cooks. As much as I'm worried about T.Y. Hilton, maybe he picks it up a bit, and maybe not several people on the defense get 0.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Brandon Graham, Eli Apple, and Levi Wallace got a half a point, but like that was really bad on the defense there.
If you're gonna have a bad day, you might as well have it against a bad team, right? So. Hollywood was favored by 35. We both picked Hollywood to take that by 35, and they did not. So, because it still hurts us. Oh, it was my shoe in. Fucking hell! God damn it! All right, next we got Scranton versus San Diego. Scranton was favored by 12 points. What did they end up doing?
San Diego won. Again, this has happened before with them on the backs of some
some monster performance wins. Because you look how imbalanced these are. There's a bunch of 1.5s and 2.5s, but then you got Latavius Murray having a big game, Allen Robinson having a big game, Dak having a huge game, and Shaq Griffin.
Dak is huge.
Yeah,
but yeah, if I was going to say an MVP of this team, I'd honestly be Latavius Murray. Like, you're expecting big games out of Dak Prescott. You're not expecting 24 points out of Latavius Murray.
Never.
So, that's a big one right there. Shaq Griffin, it's nice to get a pick. Some passes defense as well is a good game for him. But, this is a surprise. And I'm going to be shocked if either of us took – I don't remember what the line is, but I'd be shocked if either of us took San Diego.
We both took Scranton.
And then won the game.
Yeah.
Scranton, their rookies didn't show up. Jonathan Taylor, he's been looking disappointing. He started out week 1. It was like, he's catching passes. This is great. He's taking over.
He got the role right away.
Got the role. And he hasn't looked particularly good with it yet.
No.
He looked a little slow in his decisions. This is coming from someone who doesn't scout football and doesn't know what he's talking about. But I have also watched him a lot because I'm in the other league.
Right.
I feel he is taking too long to figure out what gap he wants to go through, which is sort of the opposite of what he looked like in college, where he was decisive and he'd be like, doesn't matter which gap I pick, I'm going to drag people like for several yards after they try to tackle me anyway. And I think he needs to go back to just having that faith, because I think he's too indecisive about making sure he's doing everything perfectly. And the perfect is the enemy of the good here. And he's just getting brought down for like nothing because he's just hit after the blocking falls apart. He's just not making those decisions.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a 93.9% efficiency rating, so depth has got to be an issue here. Scranton, if these guys don't show up, then Scranton's not getting a W.
Opposite of MVP, I don't know what you want to call it, but Darius Leonard?
Oh my God. Yeah.
I mean, I think he got hurt during the game, but just from a performance standpoint, this is the guy making like double any other defender in the league.
Yeah, 17.9 million.
Outside of this, he got hurt this week, so his one is excusable. But even before that, he hasn't been Darius Leonard. He's just been like
he's been a linebacker. He's been a pretty good linebacker. 7.5, 9.5, 12 points, and then a 1 because he got hurt. So yeah, that's that. Picks wise, yeah, we both get zeros there. All right, next up, we got a close one. Washington favored by 4 against Willamette.
Well, we both showed up this time. We both showed up.
Yeah, this was this game from Washington is scaring me because I'm going up against Washington this week, and they really put it up. But hey, you pulled it out in a definitive way too.
I was getting nervous early on. It looked like I was beating him at one point, like 80-20 or something. I was like, I'm fine, and then he started catching back up to the point that in the final game, I was like, okay, it's Robert Tonyan and Matt Ryan up again, and like.
Tonyan did great. Did amazing.
I had good hopes for Robert Tonyan. I never thought he would get me by far the majority of the points.
Yeah.
Matt Ryan.
That's crazy.
He not only covered what I needed from him, he covered from him and Matt Ryan what I needed. So.
Yeah, and your little running back by committee thing is working out. Mike Davis and Antonio Gibson having nice games.
Yeah, that's and this week I picked up a new fresh face to the who the hell is that at running back? That dude off Dernis Johnson I don't even know. I didn't see the guy. No idea how to say his first name. Don't care. Outbidding you all for him because that's how
joining the club
situation is.
Joining the club, man. All right, so you were favored by 4. Washington was favored by 4. We both took you to cover that. So points all around. A nice thorough beating. Not beating, but like pretty definitive performance. So hopefully Washington falls apart this week. All right, next up we got Gamblers versus Eels.
Yeah, this one was a pretty close one too. I mean, it came down to a 13-point difference.
Yeah, Vegas was favored by 7, and Vegas took it. Did cover that, but damn close game. Good game for the Eels actually because they haven't been scoring as high and put up 196. But Gamblers got it done. Nice game for the Gamblers.
Yeah, the concern for the Eels, though, here is, I mean, again, it's a lot of performance out of a couple of people.
Yeah.
You got Aaron Rodgers with 36.6, George Kittle 38.1, CeeDee Lamb 24.2. And I know it's easy to be like, if you take those guys out, it's like, yeah, well, you don't take them out. They're part of his lineup.
Yeah.
But none of those, outside of Rodgers, who has been just killing it week to week, those are high-end expectations. So
yeah, it's
going to be disappointing to see some of the lower scores. But on the good side for Mark is, I mean, DeAndre Hopkins only got 9.1. You're not expecting that going forward. Michael Gallup at 4.9. That was a little tougher because I think it sort of like cancels out CeeDee Lamb. And it's like if CeeDee Lamb does worse, Gallup does better and vice versa. So I think this is sort of on the high end of what to expect from him week to week, but I think there are some poor performances that you could expect more out of too. So, I think Mark is like one of those 180 to 190 sort of point teams going forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For Las Vegas, I mean, Russell Wilson finally didn't just absolutely annihilate everyone. He had a fine game, but
Yeah.
in Kamara, we're no longer like, oh, you're getting 80 out of them.
Yeah.
But unlike before, where that was happening, is like nothing. No one else is doing anything. At least some other people showed up this time.
Yeah, more of a balanced attack. Dalton Schultz, Miles Jack, Eric Kendricks, all putting up nice numbers.
T. Higgins.
Higgins
coming through with 13 points.
Proving you wrong from the draft podcast.
I still don't trust him at all, but we'll see. Eventually, like with Metcalf, I'll have to admit I was wrong, but for now, I'm still skeptical.
And he had Zadarius Smith getting 30 points on his bench, but he wins the game. So you can't be too mad about that. The biggest decision he's going to have to consistently make is which one of these massive quarterbacks do I get 0 points out of?
Well, we've talked about this every week at this point. I mean, we're just beating a dead horse now. But
Yeah. Well, there you go. So in terms of picks, we have Vegas favored by 7. Vegas won. You picked Ennis Corthy, and I picked Vegas. So I did better in Ben Wyatt. Oh, we didn't do South Park. Sorry, we didn't do South Park. South Park, West Waco.
Are they a joke to you, Jam? The South Park Cows came through with a devastating loss is actually what they did.
This is a bad game. Both.
Yeah, no, neither of these teams deserve to win this game.
Like for this league, like the scoring that goes up in this league, like this was a bad game. Like he scored only a little bit better than his rebuilding team on the other side of the at FOMFA. He had like 144 in FOMFA, 153 in this league. So this was not a good. This is not a good day. Not a good day.
He lives and dies on Lamar Jackson. I mean, I'm not saying that there aren't other guys who can get you points here, especially like Mostert's hurt right now, so that's unfortunate for him. But like, and Kupp's a good receiver.
Yeah.
But Lamar Jackson is still like when you're paying your quarterback that much, he's got to have elite games. They're not bad. I don't have the better games of all quarterbacks, but the game South Park is going to win are going to be the games where he gets like 45 points, and if you're against him, you're just like, someone stop that asshole! Who let the quarterback run 80 yards up the field? Like,
yeah, but then it's like very much on one player, right?
Now, again, I know we talked about this a bit before, but surprising Julian Edelman on the bench, Russell Gage instead. Edelman outscores him by 3, not quite enough to cover the difference, but it would have been close. Jeffrey Wilson also not quite enough to cover the difference, but once again, a close decision. Those ones are surprising to me. It's Edelman, like. And I get some people are down on Edelman for whatever reason.
He's still going to get done, though.
Well, he came off a bad game against the Raiders. He only caught 2 balls on 6 targets. But he still was targeted 7, then 11, then 6, and 6 times. And I guess the theory here is, well, Cam Newton's not playing. You got some scrub in there.
Yeah.
So what's he going to do? But Russell Gage
did nothing. I feel like Russell Gage convinced a lot of people in the first few weeks, having like, some big games, and then became super valuable to a lot of people. I wish I had still had him in FOMFA. I think I could have turned him into something. I included him already in a trade before that, but I don't believe that he is, what a lot of people feel he is. Because at the end of the day, he is still going to be competing for snaps from Calvin Ridley and from Julio Jones.
Yeah,
and that other guy looked better, like was targeted more. Zacchaeus or whatever his name is.
Something like that. I don't know.
Yeah,
Big Zach.
Anyways, South Park. We both picked South Park to cover the 4. They did not. Zero's going that way, and you know what? Betting, not betting against the house, and that did me well for Vegas. So, all right, should we jump into picks, because I'm soon gonna have to get out of here.
All right, so we've given an update at 7 p.m. to one of the lines. I guess it was post trade. Yeah, that's kind of
interesting. Okay, cool.
So starting off, Malibu is favored by 12 against Houston.
By 12?
Yeah, I started the last week's league, so I guess you're starting this one.
think this will be a close game. Yeah, it's a good line. I'm gonna give it to Malibu, but it's an interesting one.
Yeah, I'm looking over there. I don't like AJ Green there. I don't like N'Keal Harry there. I really don't like Golden Tate there. I don't know how he projected at 10.1. Especially with Kareem Hunt, I think is gonna really go off this week. So I agree with Malibu there.
Malibu. Yeah, Kareem Hunt's gonna take that job. He's 100% there.
So next line we have is Oakland favored by 20 with the note rosters are fucked.
Oakland favored by 20 against who?
San Antonio.
Okay.
Now
that makes a bit more sense.
I'm going to go try to find out what rosters are fucked means. So we take a look. San Antonio is actually starting a full team. Oakland is not.
Oh, yeah, okay. So rosters are fucked.
But at the same time, also San Antonio is starting a lot of guys who aren't projected to do particularly well.
Alec Ingold.
Joe Flacco is in.
Ooh.
Joe Flacco is starting at quarterback.
He's not going to play.
I don't know.
I guess he is. There's a couple, maybe he is.
20 for Oakland. Who's picking this one?
You are, because I started the last one.
It's hard to say Oakland will beat anyone by 20, but I mean, Jacobs and Carr are going to get shut down by Kansas City. Miles Sanders is going to get shut down by Pitt. This is just going to be a brutal, low-scoring game. And for that reason, no, you don't have a quarterback, Chris. You don't have a quarter. I'm going. God damn it! I don't know. Yeah, I'm going to Oakland. Even with bad games, overcoming the lack of quarterback, I think is a reasonable possibility here.
Yeah, I'm pretty easily going with Oakland on that one. All right, next up. I'm getting the timeout, so I got to really move this along now. Sorry, guys.
Next up, we have Vegas favored by 29 against San Diego.
Oh, really? I'm going to say that San Diego covers that. I don't know if they win, but I think they cover that.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. We'll see. Betting against the house this time, Denver. Let's see what happens.
I am favored by 13 against West Waco. And
interesting.
I like my quarterback better. I like my running backs a little better, surprisingly.
Running backs are doing okay.
Yeah, I like my receivers better, especially with A.J. Brown potentially out. I'm a little worried about Justin Jefferson, but Kelsey will dominate Cameron Brate.
Cameron Brate's like the third option. Third tight end option.
I think 13 is a good line. And just for the sake of betting on my own team, I'm going to say me, but I think that's a good line there.
I already had written you in because I think you're going to win by more than that. I wonder if I should just change it up because right now it's been all the same. No. I don't feel it. Okay.
All right, South Philly by 14 against Washington.
This is an interesting game. I think there was some breaking news on the chat that looks like the Titans game's been pushed to Tuesday.
Yeah.
If no one else tests positive.
Well, yeah, there's a big if. They may not play at all.
Yeah, so then that's stressing me out about my decision making.
Especially in this league, right? Because in the other one, we have the backups. In this one, it was nope.
Yeah, we chose against. So.
Yep, just do what you're going to do. Figure it out.
I don't know, man. I think it's going to be a close game. I'm going to say I believe I'll win, but I think it'll be close. So I'm going to say that I don't cover that.
You're going with Washington?
Yeah. I still think I'll win. I just think it's going to be close. Well, I hope I win.
I think that the Titans don't play. I'm leaning towards that happening. But it's not like you have anyone really better. Like, you can put Madison in, but are you going to do that? Like, risk him actually playing and then you get like 5 points instead? So I think you have to leave Henry in there.
I have to leave him in.
But I don't think he's going to play. I don't know if Julio is going to play next week. Like,
there's a lot of doubt in my team right now.
I think Washington, the 1-3 Washington Potatoes, not only covers, but I think they beat the 4-0 Pigeon Boys this week.
That's quite possible. My team has a lot of vulnerabilities right now. All right, giving it up to so you're taking Washington. Actually, we're both having the same pick. You're saying that they're going to beat me, but I think it'll be close. But
You said you're still going to win. I'm taking a step further and saying they're going to beat you.
All right, let's move. What's next?
Scranton by 13 against Chicago. Scranton started out kind of hot, but they cooled down recently. Chicago looks bad though.
Yeah, and they don't have Zeke this week.
Ooh, yeah, that's good. Anyone from the who's playing Tennessee? Buffalo.
Sorry, I got to pop out for 1 second. I'll be right back.
All right. Well, Jam's temporarily gone. I'm going to go ahead and say Scranton manages to cover the 13 despite the weak performances recently. Chicago, the owners are a lot of fun. Great in the chat, but this team doesn't look good. So I'm definitely taking Scranton. In order to not just have dead air endlessly while we wait for Jam to make his pick, I'll move on and pick for the other games. Hollywood favored by, what do we got here? Hollywood's favored by 16 against Jersey. This is one of those ones where Jersey, you keep hoping for them. You keep hoping they do well. They've scored a lot of points, but when is that actually going to translate into a win? And I've said I believe in Hollywood all year. I do. He's got Ayuk in there instead of Cooks, so I think Hollywood is going to cover the 13. And finally, South Park by 11 against Enniscorthy. I'm just doing all my picks quickly,
all
Jay.
Right. So what? Sorry, what did you choose on Scranton?
I said Scranton will cover. Well, we'll cover. Hollywood will also cover, and now I'm on South Park by 11. And I believe South Park by 11. Zeke's in there. No one really notable in any sort of danger for the games on either side, really. But I also think South Park covers 11. I'm going for the favorites in all of these final 3 games.
The South Park was facing who?
Enniscorthy.
I gotta agree with you on that. Hollywood?
Hollywood is facing Jersey.
Favored by how much?
Hollywood is favored by 16.
By 16?
Yeah.
You taking the favorite? I'm gonna take Jersey on that one.
All right.
You're getting your win, Justin. You're getting your win, even though I just took James Robinson. And Scranton and Chicago, you pick Scranton. Yeah, I gotta agree. Just because Chicago doesn't have Zeke this week. Like they got Raheem Mostert, but he's not going to be back this week.
Chicago doesn't have Zeke any week. They traded him away. Now South Park.
That's what I mean. Like they would have had Zeke this week if they didn't make that trade, and then maybe make that decision a little harder.
So I think
I picked you in on the last one, so you can pick lock.
All right. This is a bit of a tough one.
It is a tough one. This week's tough.
I genuinely believe that. Yeah, I really don't like Chicago this week at all. I'm gonna make Scranton my lock of the week.
Scranton? Yeah, that's what I was gonna do. Good one. I'm just wondering if I try and go double points and try going for Jersey, but I don't believe that much. I'm gonna say Malibu.
That was my other one I was considering too.
Yeah. I just don't trust my team this week, or else I would have gone for myself. But.
I was thinking of honestly making Washington my lock. I was giving you some consideration.
It's very possible. I'm not on board for my week. Hey, I gave you the game, dude. I got you. I'm not picking you for the lock, but I do believe in you winning this week.
I'm rooting for both teams. It's rare I have a game where I'm like, I hope you both come out of this with a win. But I think Justin deserves a win after all of this. But like, as I said, I'm kind of rooting for Hollywood because I like how they've constructed their roster. I don't know. Let's have a good, clean game, gentlemen. No injuries.
It's gonna be so funny if Scranton ends up not making the playoffs and has the better record but loses on the potential points, and the picks go back to Justin. That's funny. I did not even think about that as a possibility.
Yeah, I just realized it as it was starting.
Yeah. Anyways, sorry for rushing through with Ben Wyatt. We'll start with Ben Wyatt next time. And my apologies to everybody, but I got to bounce. Enjoy Thursday Night Football and enjoy the week. Good luck to everybody.
Cameron Brate, baby.
Cameron Brate all the way. Third string tight end for Tom Brady. O.J. Howard got hurt.
Yeah.
So
that's what I'm thinking. I just need to fill in because Cook is still dicey.
Yeah. All right, boys. Have a good day. Have a good evening. Have a good week. Later.
Later.